Okay, everybody, welcome to Late Late Horror Show. I am Dino. As always, what is going on? We are doing another Lego build stream. I was doing Fantasy, the bakery shop. Just got that done, and there will be an upcoming video on the bakery. I actually put it in the city. It looks freaking awesome on the corner where it's at. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming up, and the interior and all that other stuff. But I figured what I'm doing is I've got the park in the middle. Anybody who's seen my Lego City update for July 4th, it says, you will see the layout. And on the far left, I decided to turn that into kind of like woods. And with this over here, I think it's going to be an offshoot over there with a couple cabins, because there's one by Fantasy too. But this Lego Ideas A-frame cabin, number 21338, has 2,082 pieces. And it will go perfectly there with the boat on the water, where there's a little water section. So that's what I'm thinking of for right here for with this cabin. Kind of like going off to the city. You know, you start getting some, like cabins, little homes and stuff like that. That's what I'm going to do. Hello, Connie Clary, Harry Scott, JLR, Sam Barker, howdy. I will be playing some Michael Shane while I'm building, so stay tuned. Michael Shane lined up as I get through as much of this as possible. I kind of wanted to have that another stream of Fantasy, but I finished it, so I'm going to do an in-depth review. So hopefully people are looking at my Lego City updates, because that's where you're going to get a lot of detail and stuff like that. Live builds are here just to chat, see what I'm doing. I kind of got it in frame here. It is really cool with the boat. It's going to go really cool on the water. The trees, I have to see if they have green other than the brown, because I know you think fall, and my city is summer. So, Dino Brookhaven, it's summertime. So, that is what I'm going to be doing. So, let me open this up. Andrea, what's going on? Good to see you. So, let me open this baby up, and then we will start building and playing some Michael Shane to the build. I got my trusty, I think it's trusty, letter opener. It is an actual letter opener that I got many years ago. First got to get all these bags out of here. I hope it's just not yellow and brown leaves. So far that's what it looks like. And then we got our trusty book, which I won't be using because I use a PDF every single time. It's better to see on a big screen. Very easy to see. So, oh my god, I should have probably sorted these out prior to going live, because there's a few bags here. Okay, there we go. Let me fold this sucker up, and let's see what we got here. Let me put that right there. Oh, I should have done this prior. Now I got to sort out all these bags. Let's see. I know I could put the big numbered ones down on the ground, because I won't be getting to the higher bag numbers right away. 15. Yeah, you know what? No green leaves. So I may have to change the leaves out to make it summer myself. 10, 11, 11. Let me get all these down here, and let us get to one. Ooh, there's the canoe. Oh, that's going to be cool. Let me take this out. Sorry, guys, excited. I'm like a kid at Christmas time, right? Okay, so got the plates, some plates. Got the canoe. I love that. I love the canoe. That is so... Every day's a good canoe if you knew Gary. Remember Gary Gnu? Anyways, sounds like canoe. Anyways, I'll put the canoe over here. 10. Okay, where are the early bags? Let me put that over there. This is bag number 2. Got another 11. I think I should be able to get through this pretty quickly. I really do. Here's a 5, 3, 13, 8. 8 has some figures in there. Do I gotta wait till bag 8 to make the figures? The minifigures? I don't like that. Anyways, 15. Put this sucker down. 8 is here. Where are you, bag 1? There you are. Okay, so there's bag 1. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you're enjoying all this loud noise here. 4, 5, 6. Is that? No, that's 9. I don't think no, there's 6. Okay, so 6, 7, 6, 7, 2, 3. So here we go. I am going to start. Those are 1, 2. Let's open up bag 1 and get this started. Black Roses, what is going on? Good to see you. I will be playing some Michael Shane as I'm building this. I will be here till... It's 6:30 my time. I will be here doing this and building this until 9:30. So 3 hours. 3 hours of this. And let's see how far I get. Hopefully pretty far. Because I want a cabin off the side of the city where the forest and the water's going to be. I think that'll be pretty cool. So let me... And as always, I will show you as I go along here. I got the lights dimmed around me, so hopefully you guys can see the table okay. Let me move that just a little bit more. I think everything is in frame. A frame. No, I'm joking. Okay, here's 2 minifigures. Let me open up the smaller pieces. Let me keep that there. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. I am excited to see this. Thank you, JLR. Yeah, the cabin. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I think... let me see where those figures are. So I can put this right here. Put this in the trash. Let's see what the heads look like. I'm always curious. The older Lego heads were very, like... 2 dots, a line, and a dot for the nose. It just was... It was for kids. Now that it's for grown-ups, kind of, it's a little different. So here I go. I'm going to go to the instructions, and then I will play some Michael Shane. But please, make sure you guys give a thumbs up. Comment afterwards, please. Comment on anything you possibly can. Everything, anything and everything, please comment. It's very important. There is a stream tonight, you guys, it's a detective stream. I actually put together, you're going to get, the main mixture is Jeff Reagan, Nick Carter, Casey, and then a splattering of some other stuff. So that's kind of what I put together for tonight. So here's the minifigure. Let's see, this is a middle-aged one with green glasses. So let me put that down. This is probably Mom. Hey, Mom! Can we go on the lake? Sure thing, kids. Okay, here we go. So that's the minifigure right there. The first one built. So let me put this one in the canoe already. Let me stand it up in the canoe. Don't stand up in the canoe. Let me make the other one real quick, and then I'll start with some Michael Shane. Let me see. This is the dad. He's got a stachio. I'll make him smiling. Why not? Let him have a good time, right? Let him have a real. Let him have a good time. Yeah, we're on the lake. I got away from work finally. So there's Dad right there. Hey, what's going on? I will put him looking at her in the other direction in the canoe. Yes, I'm a big kid, so there you go. So there they are in the canoe. We will put them aside as we start to build this A-frame cabin. So very cool. Thank you guys for being here, hanging out. Let's see. Yeah, hi Boy Donuts, Harry Scott. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. I am. That's a cool set. Yeah. Hopefully you guys have seen my Lego City. I put a playlist together in its own folder where you can see all my Lego stuff. Another playlist for all my fantasy stuff, and I am going to start building some Funhole stuff. It's another company that they've got some Western ones, a sheriff's office and a saloon. I really want to build those, so stay tuned for that. That is going to be fun too. But right now, most of my stuff is Lego at the moment, but I'm getting there with fantasy and some Funhole stuff. Funhole is a company they're coming out with their very first modular buildings July 17th, I think, somewhere in the middle of July, and I can't wait for that. It's going to be an antique shop, and it's going to be a book shop, I think. So I can't wait for that. Okay, I got my got everything set here. Chat up. I can take it off of here, go to my PDF instruction booklet, and I am ready to start building. So does everybody want to hear a little bit of Michael Shane? And let me shut up and build and let you guys enjoy. Let's see, why isn't this in frame? I want to have certain stuff in frame here. Why is not the canoe's way out of frame? Why? It's gotta, maybe if I put it over here. Nah, not gonna happen. I guess you can kind of see it on the other camera. See, I almost need another camera for another angle, like coming off to the side, getting a closer view. I think I'll try working on that, you guys, so you can have another perspective, another view of it, a little closer up to it. Yeah, but so far I had to have the overhead, and this way you can see, what I'm doing. But it's not big enough to get everything in frame. That's the only thing I don't like. But it is what it is. Like if I get zoom in real close to just my hands, it's going to go out of focus every time. Hey Ahava, what is going on? Good to see you. Good to have you in chat. Here we go with some Michael Shane. We are going to play. Let's see. I will do Strange Business Call. Michael Shane from 1945. Enjoy as I build the A-frame cabin from Lego. Here we go. Michael Shane.
The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective. The people who make 76 gasoline and Triton Motor Oil, Union Oil Company, present The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis.
Leave it to Beaver. I never noticed it kind of has that sound.
We all know that our detective friend Mike Shane is the hardest working member of his profession in San Francisco. We all know that he's a dynamo of energy in his tireless pursuit of the criminal. But at the moment, it seems the criminal is in pursuit of Mike. His assistant, Phyllis Knight, ushers into the office two rather odd characters.
Mr. Shane, my name is Belsey, George Belsey, Jr. My friend here, Richard Stowe.
How do you do, Mr. Shane?
I'm glad to know both of you. Gentlemen, my associate, Miss Knight.
Hello.
How do you do?
A pleasure. Mr. Shane, this is a very peculiar business call. I might say it took considerable persuasion on my part to get Mr. Stowe to come here this afternoon.
Oh, well, it's so embarrassing.
We handle many embarrassing problems.
Thank you,
Mr.
Harry.
Stowe.
Dick's problem is
You are
more
too,
than
bud.
embarrassing. It's almost driving him crazy. You see, Dick is afraid he's going to murder me.
Murder? Could we have that last chorus again?
Well, I don't blame you, sir. Dick thinks he is going to murder me.
Mr. Stowe is going to murder you.
At least I'm afraid I might.
This is not a practical joke, Mr. Shane. Nor I'll be crazy.
I'm not sure just when it started. I've been very upset in recent months. I guess I brooded too much.
I'll say he did. Dick got so bad, I finally dragged him down to a psychiatrist friend of mine, Dr. Neiman.
Mm-hmm. Neiman, yes, I've heard of him.
Well, the doctor seemed to help me for a while. My health improved. But then I began having this dream. It's always the same dream. It never varies in any detail. It's the perfect crime. I kill Mr. Belsey in such a way that the police are completely baffled.
Which could happen only in a dream, but go on.
Well, George Belsey's office is up in the Commerce Building. On the ground floor is a cocktail lounge. Well, I dream that about 8 o'clock at night I go into the bar. I order a drink. I drink half of it. I tell the bartender I'm out of cigarettes. I go out to the lobby, but I don't buy cigarettes. I slip through the door on the left and hurry down a hall. I get into the freight elevator. Room 707 is right in front of the elevator. I open the door. I walk through 2 offices. George Belsey's room is the 3rd. I see the light shining through his glass door. George is working tonight. I take out my revolver. I open his door gently, quietly, just a crack. George is behind his desk. It takes just 1 bullet. I close the door, wipe off the doorknob, and run back to the elevator. In a minute, I step up to the bar again. I ask the bartender to light my cigarette. I finish my drink. And the dream is over.
Well, that's really something for the scrapbook.
But the dream is so
That's
horribly
quite the
vivid that
dream.
sometimes I don't know whether I've dreamed it or actually done it.
I see. And you want me to set your mind at rest, Mr. Stowe? All right, I think I can show you why you couldn't commit a perfect crime. First, Mr. Belsey, are the bar, the freight elevator, and your office situated as in the dream?
Yes, they are. Dick has been up to my office often enough to have the details straight.
Mr. Stowe, would you have any motive to kill Mr. Belsey?
Oh, no, not the slightest.
Are you in any business deals together?
No, my line is mining. Dick's is wholesale hardware.
Mr. Belsey, do you work at your office every night?
Oh, no, very seldom.
No matter how carefully a murder is planned, there's always the danger of something unforeseen. Mr. Stowe would have to know which night you're working. Then somebody might notice him sneak out of the lobby. An operator might be working after hours on the freight elevator.
And then there's the scrub woman upstairs to avoid, and the gun to dispose of afterwards.
Yes. No matter what gun you use, the police would trace the bullet. You'd have to prepare yourself against all these slip-ups and a dozen others. Well, now, does that take a load off your mind?
Yes, it does.
And if you dream it again, Dick, just laugh at it, roll over, and go back to sleep.
Really, I do feel better already. George, we'd better not take up any more Mr. Shane's time.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Oh, we want to pay you.
No, forget it. I don't charge for just talking.
Oh, you've done more than that, Mr. Shane. You've pointed out my mistakes. You've told me how to commit the perfect crime.
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you, sir. And Miss Knight.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Goodbye.
Yes, good afternoon.
Well, this is just fine. Mike Shane, consultant on murder.
Hand me that phone book.
Who are you going to call?
Who do you think? That psychiatrist.
Of course I understand, Mr. Shane. Mr. Stowe has been my patient for months, but there is no cause to be alarmed.
Well, the way he talked, Dr. Neiman, I just wondered if he had all his buttons.
Oh, there is nothing wrong with Mr. Stowe. He has had a series of especially vivid nightmares, and it has become a habit with him. There is nothing to worry about.
I see. Nothing to worry about.
I hope you enjoyed your drink, sir.
Very much, thank you. Here you are.
Much obliged. Good night, sir.
Good night. All right, honey. Let's head for the lobby.
Okay. Now, let's see. Mr. Stowe said the lobby, then the door to the left.
Must be this one. And there's the freight elevator.
Well, we've done everything in the right order. We had a drink in the cocktail lounge. We went through the lobby. We found the freight elevator.
All checks with Stowe's dreams so far.
Yeah.
Room 707 right in front of us.
Mike, the lights are on inside.
Belsey working tonight? Through 2 rooms, and then his office.
Mike, it's this next office. There's a man's shadow against the door. And it isn't Belsey's.
No. Those shoulders look awfully familiar. And the angle of that hat. It's the inspector.
Who's out there? Hey, Mike and Phil. What in the name
Inspector, you're here on a murder?
Why, yes.
It's a man shot to death?
That's right, but how did...
One more question, Inspector. In that next room is a desk, and behind that desk is the body of George Belsey, Jr.?
How in the name of everything did you know?
I hate to tell you, Inspector. I really hate to tell you.
We'll return to Mike and Phyllis in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly everyone knows about carbon and the trouble it causes in automobile engines. But what most people don't know is that the kind of motor oil they buy directly influences the amount of carbon in their engines. That's because many drivers still believe that carbon comes from the gasoline, when actually nearly all carbon formed in gasoline engines comes from the lubricating oil. But, and this is the payoff, some motor oils form a great deal more carbon than others. That's why we say your carbon troubles may be due to the kind of oil you buy. Now, and this is a proved laboratory fact, Triton motor oil forms less carbon than any other of the 7 leading premium oils sold in the West. Yes, that's right. Triton cuts down carbon. The secret of Triton's superiority lies in Union Oil Company's exclusive propane solvent refining process. That means harmful asphalts, waxes, and sulfur have been removed, leaving a pure 100% paraffin-based motor oil, an oil that will furnish hundreds of miles of safe, dependable lubrication. You can buy Triton motor oil at all Union Oil Minuteman stations. Just look for the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Thank you. A man's dream of murder has turned into a nightmare of reality for Mike Shane. In the office of the dead man, Mike and Phyllis have explained to the inspector how they knew George Belsey had been shot to death.
So you and Phil were tracing Mr. Stowe's dream footsteps.
That's right, Inspector. Phil and I came up here just to see if Stowe could commit the crime the way he dreamed it.
And when we saw you here, the inspector of homicide, we knew what had happened.
Uh-huh. It happened all right. Bullet right through Belsey's heart. Well, we'll have Stowe picked up right away.
I know where he was 40 minutes ago.
Who's this?
Frank Mann. I was in business with Belsey.
Yeah, Mike. He found the body and phoned us.
I saw Stowe down in the cocktail lounge about 40 minutes ago.
Sergeant.
Yes, sir?
Go down to the cocktail lounge and have Mr. Stowe paged for a phone call. If he answers, bring him up here. If he doesn't, send a couple of men to pick him up.
Right away, sir.
Mr. Mann, you say you were in business with George Belsey. The mining business?
Yes, I'm a mining engineer. Well, maybe you'd call me a prospector. George and I were just about to hit it rich. Now it's hopeless.
Oh, why's that?
Why? Well, you don't find gold mines with every blow of a pickaxe. I've rawhided over every mile of the Sierras looking for a good digging for George and me. George grub-staked me. I found him a couple of little mines, but now I need some real cash.
That's what you came here tonight to talk over with Belsey?
Yes, I just got in from Nevada.
Uh-huh.
Hadn't seen George for, 5 or 6 weeks. He was back east a while. I walk in the door tonight and, well, you know the rest.
And, this is the way you found him, slumped over in his chair?
That's right.
You can see the bullet embedded in the back of the chair. Went clean through him.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a .45 caliber.
This is Mr. Stowe, Inspector.
Yeah?
Found him in the bar, like you said.
Where's George?
Uh-huh. All right, Mr. Stowe. Suppose we have your story. You were in the cocktail lounge. You went out for some cigarettes.
Yes. It's just like my dream. But I didn't kill him.
Inspector, I checked with the bartender. Mr. Stowe came in about an hour ago.
Yes, I went out in the lobby. I even went to the freight elevator. I was just curious about my dream. But I went right back to the bar. I didn't know George was working tonight. I didn't kill him. I know I didn't.
Sergeant, was he carrying a gun?
No, sir.
Well, if Mr. Stowe doesn't believe he did the killing, we've got to go ahead and solve the case ourselves. Now, let's see. The usual stuff on the desk here.
Is a bottle of whiskey the usual?
Bonded.
Mm-hmm.
Must have been opened recently. The label's still wet.
But this one drinking glass is clean and dry.
Mm-hmm. Appointment pad shows Belsey's last caller was at 5 p.m.
Mike, there's a phone number jotted down. Fairfield 62041. Hey, That number.
Mean anything to you, Mike?
You bet it does, Inspector. I called that number this afternoon. It's Dr. Neiman.
Well, maybe we better check up on it.
Yes, and speaking of checkups, how about the angle of the bullet? Was it fired from the doorway?
Looks like it, though we haven't traced it yet.
Well, let's do it now. Must be a good 20 feet from the desk to this door.
Listen, I think I hear somebody coming.
Probably the coroner. He's late.
That's a woman's footsteps.
Yes, it is.
All right, miss, in this way.
What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps you'd better tell us. What are you doing here?
I came back for something I forgot.
She was Belsey's secretary, Marie Farrell. Hello, Marie.
Mr. Mann, why are these people here?
In case you really don't know, look behind Mr. Belsey's desk.
I'm using my left and my right hand at the same time.
Mr. Stowe's dream.
No, Marie, I didn't do it.
I swear I did.
Miss Farrell, do you know anybody else who might want to kill Mr. Belsey?
Why, no. Mr. Stowe kept dreaming about it, but nobody would have a reason.
Well, we don't think anybody killed him for the pure sport of it.
You say, Miss Farrell, you came back to the office because you forgot something? What was it?
I can't remember.
You've forgotten what you forgot in the first place?
Oh, I remember. I'm so mixed up. The theater tickets. I was on my way to the theater with some friends. They must be wondering what happened to me.
Well, I guess there's no point now keeping you. We can always find you.
Yes, then I'll get the tickets. They're in my desk.
We may want to talk to you tomorrow, Miss Farrell. So if you'll give the sergeant your address and phone number.
Oh, of course. Marie Farrell, Calistoga Apartments, Dawson 90351. Well, I guess that's all. Good night.
Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Checking the angle of the bullet.
Sergeant, you might take Mr. Stowe and Mr. Mann into the next room and let them dictate their stories.
Yes, sir. This way, please, gentlemen.
Mike, look at this. I found Belsey's account books in this desk drawer.
Let's see, Phil. Partnership, Belsey and Mann. Gold shipment. Mike, from these figures, I'd say they were doing all right for themselves.
Mike.
What?
How's this little item for the third finger left hand?
An engagement ring. Where did you find it?
In this middle drawer. Look at this newspaper with it. Photograph with the blue penciling around it. Miss Carly Schaefer announces her engagement to Mr. George Belsey, Jr. of San Francisco. Right good-looking gal.
It's a Pittsburgh paper 3 days ago.
Must have been mailed to Belsey.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Hey, kids, look at this picture again.
Where?
Miss Carly's showing her engagement ring to some girlfriends.
But now the ring is here in San Francisco.
It's not the same ring. It's smaller, a different cut.
Oh, how can you tell? It's only a newspaper photo.
All right. Look at it through this magnifying glass.
Phil's right, Inspector. The Pittsburgh gala is wearing Belsey's engagement ring, yet he's got another piece of Cupid's ice in his desk drawer. For whom?
Marie Farrell. Maybe she was after this ring.
Could be. I think we better have a real heart-to-heart talk with that young lady, and right now.
Mike, you forgot. She's gone to the theater.
All the better, my dear. Meanwhile, we can have a look around her apartment. Sergeant.
Yes, sir?
We're going to see Miss Farrell, the Calistoga Apartments.
Well, looks like our little canary is about to fly her cage.
Suitcase all packed.
Looks like she's traveling light. Unless she has other bags. Dresses, blouses.
Stockings, slips.
Perhaps I'd better take the inventory.
Yeah. Hey, hold it. Here's a letter. Return address, George Belsey, Jr., State Hotel, Pittsburgh.
Okay. Read the letter.
Written last week. Dearest Marie, I'll be back in San Francisco by Saturday, but there's something I want you to know before that. You remember a girl I used to know here in Pittsburgh? Her name is Coralie Schaefer.
The good old-fashioned jilt.
Yeah. It seems Coralie is the one and only for him.
Then Phil was right. The engagement ring in Belsey's desk did belong to Marie.
Do you think the jilted young lady might soothe her feelings with a well-placed bullet in her ex-boyfriend?
Marie told us there was no reason why anyone should want to kill Belsey, yet she's got the only motive for murder we've found so far.
Yeah, but you can pile motives up to the ceiling, and Richard Stowe will still look like the murderer.
That's true, Inspector. He had the dream, and the killing was exactly as he told it to us.
I'm not saying he didn't do it. In fact, There's one angle which may pin it right on him without motive or intent to kill.
Meaning what, Mike?
Meaning that we've all forgotten Dr. Neiman.
The psychiatrist?
Yes. And I think we should swap complexes and phobias with that gentleman.
Well, you kids go ahead. I'm waiting right here for Marie. She's got to come home sometime tonight.
Well, we're not going to leave you here alone.
Oh, listen, Grandma. I'm not helpless. I was with Homicide while you were still playing in the sandbox.
Okay, Inspector. Okay. Come on, honey.
Do you know where Dr. Neiman lives, Mike?
Well, we'll get it from the phone book, but first we're stopping by my apartment. There's something I want to have when we visit Dr. Neiman.
Of course I remember you, Mr. Shane. You telephoned this afternoon about Mr. Stowe.
May I ask, Dr. Neiman, if Mr. Stowe has talked to you this evening?
No? What do you ask?
Oh, curiosity. I'm interested in that nightmare which has been troubling Stowe. The details of the dream to kill Mr. Belsey was so complete.
Yes, Doctor. When Stowe was talking to us, he seemed to think it was the perfect crime.
So? The perfect crime?
In fact, Doctor, it looks like the dream was too much of a temptation for Mr. Stowe. Belsey has been murdered.
Tonight?
Yes.
In the same manner?
In the same manner.
Will you have a cigarette, Miss Knight?
No. Thank you.
I understand, Doctor, that Mr. Belsey brought Stowe to you to help him out of a bad mental state.
Yes, he was morbid about his business affairs. I might say he was on the verge of a neurotic collapse. I helped him considerably.
How, may I ask?
Oh, by various technical means. I'm afraid Mr. Stowe's mind was not quite balanced.
That's not what you told me this afternoon, Doctor. You said he was all right, that there was nothing to worry about.
How was I to know he would do such an insane thing?
Doctor, in treating Mr. Stowe, did you use hypnotism?
Yes, occasionally. I know what you are thinking, Mr. Shane, but you are wrong. It is impossible to hypnotize a man to commit murder. You can't hypnotize anyone into violating his code of ethics.
I see. Doctor, I brought along a copy of one of your books, Exercises in Psychiatry. I'd like to read you something you wrote on page 93.
93. Oh, I think I know what it is.
Quite
yes.
possibly. This is it. Modern psychologists maintain that a person hypnotized cannot be made to perform acts which violate his ordinary standards of conduct and morality. However, I suggest that if the patient is first convinced by hypnotism that he has no standard of morality, he can be made to follow out any order, even if it be murder.
You can't hold that against me. What I wrote 8 years ago, I've tested my theory, and I found I was wrong.
How did you test your theory, Doctor?
And can you explain why Mr. Stowe did not have this dream of murder till after you began to treat him?
Mr. Shane, I refuse to be dragged into this mess. If you try to smear my reputation in this town, I promise you'll regret it very sorely.
Very well, Dr. Neiman. Then I think we'll be going. You haven't been what I call helpful.
I am not required to be.
No, but if Mr. Stowe is proved guilty of murder, you may find yourself named accessory to the crime. Think that over, Doctor.
Why so quiet, Mike?
Thinking. When I look back on it, I think Newman knew what happened from the moment we walked into the door.
But, Mike, even if Mr. Stowe was hypnotized to commit a murder, how are we going to prove it? Mike? Mike, what's wrong?
We're being followed.
Where?
No, don't turn around. Look in the rear vision mirror. I saw that same Suzanne behind us when we started over Twin Peaks.
Mike, you don't think...
We'll find out, honey. I'm going to swing into this alley.
It passed right by.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just getting jumpy. To play safe, we'll go over to another street.
Oh. I couldn't see who was in the car. Did you?
No, it's so dark Phil.
I see it. It turned around. It's right behind us.
Duck, honey. Duck!
In just a moment, we'll return to Michael Shane and his adventures. Friends, with the hottest part of summer yet to come, it's a good idea to make sure that the cooling system of your automobile is working properly. You see, aside from the fact that it makes driving uncomfortable, a motor, when too hot, wastes gasoline. And whether you realize it or not, cars driven around town with frequent starts and stops usually get hotter than those driven on the open road. Now, an easy way to make sure your radiator is on the job and cooling your engine is to have your Union Oil Minuteman treat it with Union Radiator Flush. Union Radiator Flush is harmless to metal, but its special solvent action cuts scale, rust, and grease right out of choked radiator cores and water lines. Then, with a radiator that is flushed clean, you can be sure of rapid water circulation and a cool motor. So for cooler driving, economical mileage, ask for Union Oil Radiator Service, wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Thank you. One of the bullets fired into Mike Shane's car came near its mark. Mike was hit in the shoulder. Phyllis has bandaged the wound, and the two are now back at the scene of the murder, the office of George Belsey.
How you feeling now, Mike?
Oh, a little rocky, but okay, Inspector. It was just a flesh wound.
We'll have a doctor dress it properly.
You better, Phil. Oh, Mike, the sergeant has just brought in Neiman. We got everybody back here now. Stowe, Mann, and Marie.
Have you got anything out of Marie?
Yeah, admit she and Belsey broke their engagement. But there's a funny twist to it. We didn't notice when she was here earlier she was wearing another engagement ring.
You mean the one we found in the desk didn't belong to Marie?
Looks that way, Phil. She froze up when I asked her about the one she was wearing.
Have you checked up on where everybody was at the time I got shot?
Yeah, they all got alibis. It's up to us to find out which one is lying.
That's what bothers me, Inspector. Somebody tried to kill me because he or she thinks I know the answer to this case, and doggone it, I don't.
All right, I'll bring them all in now, and we can sweat them. All right, Sergeant.
Say, Sergeant.
Yes, sir?
Open that door again, please.
Yes.
Well, I'll be... Inspector.
What?
There must be something wrong with our ears. We've opened and closed that door 40 times tonight.
Well, what about it, Mike?
What about it? Well, listen to it. There. Don't you see? The killer couldn't possibly open this door to fire his gun without Belsey hearing him. Let me show you. I'll step outside the office and close...
Yeah, I've made it to a point to where I think this is the brick wall part. It's weird how they're doing it, and it's hard to keep them straight because they turn. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to come into with an issue on this. Lego's building techniques usually are pretty good. I'm just not sure what's going on here, but we shall find out. That's what, if you see that. They're so easily able to be turned. Anyways, we shall see.
Close the door and then open it again.
What's the matter, Mike?
I can't see the desk. Look, the door has to be completely open before I can see the desk. That means the killer practically had to come into the room.
I catch. Belsey must have seen him, but he didn't jump up or try to escape.
He just sat there, paralyzed with fright.
Wait a minute. We've skipped a big point here. Belsey was hit by a .45 bullet. That would knock an elephant sideways. Yet he stayed there in his chair.
Yeah, you're right. The nervous reflex alone would make him jump out of his seat.
Unless he was unconscious. Inspector,
what?
We've assumed all along that the whiskey and drinking glass on the desk were unused. I'll bet my gold bridge work that the killer cleaned and dried that glass. Belsey took a drink that was drugged.
That's possible, but there's still the main question.
Of who did it. All right. Mr. Stowe dreamed of the killing. Marie, I believe you indicated that you knew of his dream.
Well, yes. Mr. Stowe talked about it so much.
And Dr. Neiman knew it, of course. And you, Mr. Mann.
Well, Belsey joked about it with me once or twice.
So everybody knew of Stowe's dream and could take advantage of it.
But here's the point. I practically accused Dr. Neiman of hypnotizing Stowe to commit the murder.
I still deny it.
And I believe you, sir. I've been thinking it over the past few minutes. Dr. Neiman has never been in this office. We checked on it. He couldn't possibly hypnotize Mr. Stowe and give him all those detailed directions about the cocktail lounge and the freight elevator.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The same reason would rule out Mr. Stowe. If he killed Belsey, he would do it exactly as he dreamed it, which is not the way the murder was committed.
No, Mike has demonstrated that.
Huh?
By the opening and closing of the door, and by the probability that Belsey was drugged.
Marie, you are the prize suspect except for two things. You didn't know Belsey was working tonight because the last appointment...
Yeah, I just have to reiterate this again. It is the one thing I come across with Lego, even the new ones. This was 2023, Lego Ideas cabin here. And again, I'm going to make a fantasy cabin. It's a barn-type cabin. See the differences in this. I see that they were trying to go with a different technique for brick wall part, kind of. But when you put them on a little stud piece and insert it where it's easily able to turn, that's not going to be straight. And some of them feel like they're ready to fall off, like right there. That don't even connect. I'm just already not liking this part of it. But we shall see. We will continue.
Jotted down on his desk pad was for 5 p.m. And you were not in your apartment when Miss Knight and I decided to call on Dr. Neiman.
So you couldn't have followed Mike there or try to kill him afterwards. But that also goes for Frank Mann.
Not quite, Inspector. He did hear us say we were going to Marie's apartment. He followed us first to her place and then to Neiman's.
No, you're wrong. Frank wouldn't kill Belsey. He's not a murderer.
Oh, so now it's Frank. Oh. You've dropped the formality. Miss Farrell, that engagement ring you're wearing, Frank Mann gave it to you, didn't he?
Yes. We're going to be married.
I suppose you'll make a crime out of that, too.
It's a very expensive ring, several $1,000s. If you're broke, Mr. Mann, and Belsey was grub-staking you couldn't possibly afford that ring unless you knew you were taking over the gold mines of your dead partner.
You can't prove a thing. You can't convict me.
You've convicted yourself, sir. You were the only one who knew Belsey was working tonight because you had an appointment with him. You killed him, then called the police. Well, the police are still here, ready and waiting. How about it, Inspector?
Mike? How do you want your eggs?
Oh, let's have them sunny side up this time, huh? You know, with this bum arm of mine, Angel, you'll have to feed your poor old boss.
And how you'll love it.
Uh-oh, I bet that's the inspector.
Hey, wait. I want to hear this, too.
Hello? Yeah, you guessed right, Inspector. She's fixing me some eggs. What bacon? Huh? Well, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. It's in my pocket. I guess I was just absent-minded. Sure. I'll bring it in tomorrow. Okay. Good night, Inspector.
What will you bring in tomorrow?
Oh, that engagement ring we found in Belsey's desk. I stuck it in my pocket here and walked off with it. Forgot all about it.
Yeah, I know how that is.
Huh?
When it comes to engagement rings, your mind is a complete blank.
Ah, Angel, you walked off with something of mine, too, tonight. This book on psychiatry here.
Oh, that.
Hey, wait a minute. You've dog-eared a page already. Chapter on hypnotism and its power over the emotions.
You give me that book.
You're wasting your time, honey. It doesn't work. I've already tried it.
Tune in again next week at 8 o'clock for another adventure with Michael Shayne, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis, with Joe Forte as the inspector. Tonight's story was written by Richard DeGraff and based on the character created by Brett Halliday. Music was composed and directed by Bernard Katz. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the people who make 76 gasoline and Triton Motor Oil. Union Oil Company. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Okay, Michael Shayne, Strange Business Call. Good episode. Thank you very much, Fluff Chick Productions. Connie, thank you for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. Really do. Yeah, I mean, this is driving me crazy. I whipped through bag one. And then I come up to this, and this is giving me trouble. This don't even make any sense. It's not even fitting together now. And I did it exactly the way it said. Let me take this one piece off here again. I don't know why that... Well, let's see if that fixes it. This is... some things just... I mean, if you're going to build something, especially... See? That don't fit. What is going on? 1, 2, 3, 4... And these aren't even all... I did something wrong. Okay, I had to have done something wrong. Let's see. Let me take all of this apart. I won't let you guys... Listen, I'm going to figure it out. Let me go back. Stupid stuff. Simple stuff, too. But I'm going to have to go back. I will play another Michael Shayne. I'm not sure why this is doing this, but I have to start all the way back over again. So I'm taking that off, this off. See, some things can drive you nuts. Anyways, I mean, this is supposed to be therapeutic, and it is, but when Lego comes up with something that just doesn't seem... If it's my fault, I'll admit it. I'm going to go back and start fresh on this one. So let's go to another Michael Shayne. Let's do museum thefts. Michael Shayne. So here we go. Enjoy the episode as I am frustrated here and try to figure this out. Thank you all for being here. Thumbs up, please. Thumbs up. Thank you. Here we go. Museum thefts.
The Adventures of Michael Shayne, Private Detective. The people who make 76 gasoline and Triton Motor Oil, Union Oil Company, present The Adventures of Michael Shayne, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis. In the course of his detective career, Mike Shayne has been called upon to track down escaped murderers, to find missing jewels, to recover stolen bonds and sensational diaries. But never before has he been asked to hunt for something 3,000 years old. In his office high in the Rust Building, Mike and his lovely assistant, Phyllis Knight, listen sympathetically to a worried little man, Dr. Frederick Wakeman, museum curator.
Mr. Shayne, these thefts have been going on at the museum now for 2 weeks. Some of the losses just wring my heart. You know how today people save the baby shoes of their children, even have them cast in bronze?
Well, yes, but
then realize what it means to me to lose the baby sandals of the Pharaoh Ramesses I. Why, I used to hold those tiny things in my hand and think back to the days when they pattered around the royal court of Egypt. Yes, 3,300 long years ago.
3,300 years? Well, why would anybody steal baby sandals 3,300 years old? Unless they were fresh out of shoe stamps.
That's the baffling part of it. The thefts don't make sense. One time it's the court robe of a Chinese emperor. The next it's the original of a love sonnet of Shakespeare or the signet ring of a Russian czar. They're famous. If the thief tried to sell them in New York or London or Bombay, it would be known they came from this museum.
In which case the thief would be caught.
Sounds like to me the work of a pretty clever thief. Dr. Wakeman, do you suspect anybody in particular?
No, how can I? It's bewildering. It's a mystery. The museum is open every day, but we have very capable guards. I believe the thefts occur at night, when only 2 watchmen are on duty.
Any signs of somebody forcing in a door or window?
No, none that we can recognize. But it's got to stop, Mr. Shayne. It's got to. I'm responsible, and there are people who will take advantage of my failure.
Even in a museum, one can have enemies, huh?
This is what I want you to do, sir. Come out and look over the museum with me. Perhaps spend a few nights there.
Well, that's quite an order, Dr. Wakeman, but I guess we're game. How about it, Phil?
Certainly we are.
All right. Then if you would meet me at the museum tonight in my office, say about 8:30.
Your office at 8:30? Okay, but it's only fair to warn you, Doctor. Every time I go out on a job lately, I seem to wind up with a corpse.
Really? Oh, then you won't be disappointed. You'll find 6 corpses.
6 corpses?
Yes, in the mummy room.
You know, Mike, there's something really ironic about tonight. For years I've worked with you, tried and begged and coaxed you to go to the museum with me, and it takes a crime to break you down.
Well, I can't think of a better reason.
Well, I'm excited about it. This case is so different. Imagine sitting up all night with Egyptian mummies and things. What atmosphere.
Uh-huh. Well, right now I'm more concerned about the atmosphere collecting on our windshield.
Oh.
It's starting to rain, and I forgot to get those windshield wipers fixed.
A night in the museum. A rainy night in the museum. That's even better.
Yeah. Dr. Wakeman, to the contrary, I doubt anybody will try to swipe anything tonight while King Tut is entertaining us.
Do you think we'll have to hide in a sarcophagus or whatever they call
Sarcophagus, yes. Well, yes, this is the museum. Ooh, hug your coat, Angel. There's a wind with this rain.
All right. Oh, it's a spooky-looking old building at night.
Uh-huh.
Only one light showing.
Probably in Wakeman's office. I ain't got nobody. Well, right on time, according to the clock in the tower.
Not very cheerful sounding, is it?
What do you want?
Well, we have an appointment with Dr. Wakeman.
Oh, yeah. He told me about you. Come on in.
Thank you.
All right, follow me.
Yes, sir.
Mike, that room right ahead, that strange green light all through it.
Egyptian department, mummy room.
Oh, it looks so uncanny. Are we going through it?
Yeah, shortcut to the curator's office.
Mm-hmm. Nice layout of mummies. Reminds me of the morgue.
Ooh.
Hey, Phil, slow down.
Oh, Mike, that mummy standing up, it moved.
Oh, don't be silly. That's a god.
Oh.
And you talked about hiding in a sarcophagus.
Oh.
Curator's office. Go right on in.
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, it looks like Dr. Wakeman isn't here.
Oh, he's probably around. Mike.
Yeah?
That big chair with its back toward us.
Yeah, tobacco smoke coming up from it. Dr. Wakeman, Oh, excuse me, sir.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I was reading this manuscript. I didn't see you, young lady. I beg your pardon, being in my shirt sleeves. I was drying my coat on the radiator here. Ought to be dry now. Yeah, just a little wet, but no matter. Good heavens, is that clock on the desk right?
Yes, it's 8:30.
I better phone Wakeman's house and find out what's keeping him. Get me Wakeman. Hello? Arthur? This is Cameron. What's holding up Wakeman? Mr. Shane's waiting here in the office. But he told me to be here at 7:30, and I'm still waiting. Oh, yes, that's possible. All right, Arthur. That's the young professor who lives with Wakeman. Said he left for the museum at 7. He lives just across the street.
Well, he must have stopped somewhere else first.
Yeah, that's what Arthur said.
I'm curious, sir. How did you know my name was Shane?
Oh, Wakeman told me about you on the phone. I'm Professor Cameron, one of the governors of the museum.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad to know you. And this is Miss Knight.
How do
How do you do? I hope you people can help poor Wakeman. He's all upset about this trouble in the museum. I suppose that's what he wanted to talk to me about tonight.
I've wanted to see your exhibits for a long time, Professor.
Well, I'm not the Egyptologist here, but antiquities have been a hobby of mine most of my life. I'll be glad to show you anything I can. Oh, perhaps this is Wakeman. No, it's Arthur.
Hasn't he come in yet?
Wakeman? Not yet. Mr. Shane, Miss Knight, this is Professor Arthur Behrens. He's the man you want to talk to about Egyptology.
I'm glad to know you, Professor.
How do you do? I don't understand it. The guard just told me he hadn't seen Wakeman all evening. He must have gone out again.
Well, a little wait won't hurt us.
Pardon me, do we have to suffocate while we're waiting? It's awfully stuffy in here. Do you gentlemen object to fresh air?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been smoking my pipe.
Well, I'll open the window just a crack.
What's the matter?
Good heavens. Wakeman.
Hanging behind the curtain.
Well, get him down, quick.
Wait a minute, Professor.
We've got to see if he's still alive.
What difference does that make?
If he's dead, we've got to leave him there for the coroner.
He's dead, all right. Oh, how could he be so foolish, so foolish?
You think it's suicide?
What else? Of course, look at him.
I just did.
San Francisco Police Department.
Give me the inspector of homicide.
We'll rejoin Mike and Phyllis and their adventures in just a moment.
Now that one's
Here's
made,
a
I gotta
tip
make
if you're
another.
worried about excess carbon in your engine. Just drive into any Union Oil station and ask the Minuteman for Triton motor oil. Why? Well, nearly all carbon formed in engines comes from the motor oil and not from the gasoline. Now, there's a wide variation in the amount of carbon different oils form. So it's logical to buy the oil that forms the least carbon. And that's where Triton comes in. For Triton, and this is a proved laboratory fact, contains less carbon-forming elements than any of the 7 leading premium oils sold in the West. Yes, Triton cuts costly carbon. The reason is that Triton is refined by Union Oil Company's exclusive propane solvent process, a process that removes harmful asphalts, waxes, and sulfur, leaving a pure 100% lubricating oil. An oil that will safely lubricate your car for many hundreds of miles and give added protection against excess carbon. Your engine deserves that protection. You can buy Triton at all Union Oil Minuteman stations. Just look for the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Mike and Phyllis have located the missing Dr. Wakeman, curator of the museum, hanging from a curtain rod in his own office. The inspector has arrived on the scene and questions Mike and the 2 museum professors.
Now, just a minute. Mr. Shane says it's murder. Professor Barron says it's suicide.
I can't be positive it's suicide, Inspector. But I know that Wakeman was a very morbid man and terribly affected by these museum thefts.
You mean he may be linked in with them? When he saw the things closing in around him, he chose the one way out?
No, I didn't say that.
Inspector, just so you don't fall for a phony suicide deal, take a look at that rope.
Uh-huh. See what you mean, Mike. The heads of the rope are all flattened in one direction. It couldn't be suicide.
How could that possibly tell you?
Because we make a study of such things, Professor. When a person is dead before he's hanged, the killer has to haul the body up into place. When the murderer pulled the rope over that curtain rod, the pressure going over the rod flattened all the hairs on the rope.
But who would kill Wakeman? Unless, perhaps, the thief who's been stealing from us.
Obviously. We'd better question the guards and check up on any clues of burglary.
Dr. Wakeman said he couldn't find any clues after the earlier thefts. But he made a list of stolen articles. Now, if we looked at them, we might get an idea of the type of thief.
I'm afraid you'll have to forget that. Wakeman kept the list in the big safe there. But he was the only one who had the combination.
Well, let's see.
It's unlocked.
We kept some of our most valuable items in that safe.
You and Professor Cameron better take inventory.
Everything looks in its place. A chapter from the Gutenberg Bible, the Greek medallions.
Carelessness. Wakeman never put anything twice in the same place.
What's wrong?
This papyrus, any fool can see it's a prayer scroll of the 4th dynasty, but the marker says Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Or he just filed in the wrong container. Here's a list of stolen articles.
May I see it, please? Mm-hmm. 2 blue porcelain vases, Ming Dynasty. Jeweled Arabian sword, gold scabbard. 2 miniatures, Napoleon and Josephine. Set of Egyptian...
Napoleon and Josephine. Hey, there's a point. Cameron, you remember how Mr. Bradley fought with Wakeman when Wakeman wouldn't sell those miniatures to him?
You're talking about Richard Bradley, the lumberman and art collector?
Yes, a creature wholly without culture who buys rare and beautiful works merely to flaunt the power of his money.
Oh.
But a man with millions wouldn't descend to stealing.
Well, I'm not so sure. Bradley offered Wakeman $20,000 for the miniatures of Napoleon and Josephine. Then he upped it to $25,000.
Yes, I remember. He was bidding against that art dealer, that Francois Lys.
Yes, and when Wakeman wouldn't sell at any price, Bradley got so furious he threatened him. He said he'd come down here some night and slit Wakeman's throat and take the miniatures anyway.
Oh, I'd discount that. Bradley is notorious for his bad temper.
Still, we can't overlook it, Mike. We got to follow all leads. Sergeant.
Yes, Inspector?
We're going to call on Mr. Bradley. Nobody is to leave this building till we get back.
So Wakeman is dead, huh? Well, well, perhaps now I can do business with the museum. What time did you say he was killed?
We didn't say, Mr. Bradley, but we think between 6:45 and 7:30.
Well, that's lucky for me. With my feeling toward Wakeman, you might be coming here to accuse me of his murder. But at that hour, I happened to be eating dinner at the Mark Hopkins.
May I ask why you're so bitter toward Wakeman?
Number of reasons. Do you realize I offered Wakeman $250,000 to build a new wing on the museum, and he and his board of governors turned it down? Yeah, turned it down, yes. Merely because I wanted my name chiseled over the doorway.
Would another of those reasons be, Mr. Bradley, that Wakeman wouldn't sell you 2 miniatures of Napoleon and the Empress Josephine?
Yes, $25,000 I offered him.
And I believe when Wakeman refused to sell, you threatened him. And said something about coming down and slitting his throat to get those miniatures?
Yes, I said that. Anything else you want to know?
We asked these questions, sir, because those 2 miniatures were among the articles stolen from the museum.
Well, I hope you find them. And when you do, let me know. I'd still like to buy them.
When we find them, sir, we'll have the murderer of Dr. Wakeman.
I may be able to put you in the right direction. Yeah. Let me take a look out of the window. Yeah, I can see the light in his store. It's still open. He's down just a block from this apartment.
Who?
An art dealer, Francois Lys. Yes, I think he would be a very interesting man for you to question.
Thank you, sir. If we need any more answers, we'll be back.
Hopefully you made it through the heat.
You know, Mr. Bradley may be a big shot in this town, a millionaire and an art...
I hope you made it through the heat. I mean, of course you made it through the heat, but hopefully it's getting cooler there. Listen, we're in for a stretch of 90-degree days all week. I mean, the next 10 days. We get a couple breaks, but then that's it. The heat isn't letting up. It kind of sucks, but much love, Horror Junkie. Good to see you.
But his heart doesn't pump blood. It's vinegar and arsenic.
Yeah, awfully anxious to pack us off to Francois Lys.
And that alibi of eating dinner at the Mark Hopkins. I think the sergeant better double check on that.
You kiddies are a suspicious crew. Now, why would a millionaire commit a murder for 2 useless miniatures?
Well, we can continue this discussion some other time. Here's Mr. Lys' gallery.
You are looking for something, yes?
Oh, yes, we didn't see you. It's like this. My friends here and I are redecorating an apartment. It's to be in the French style, and I...
So? What kind of an apartment are you decorating? Perhaps a cell at the police station?
What?
You are Monsieur Shane, the detective. This is Monsieur Inspector of the police and the young lady. She is Mademoiselle Knight. You have come here to ask me about my poor friend, Dr. Wakeman. Alors, it is a great pity.
But...
How did you know?
It is simple. One of the guards at the museum, Monsieur Olson, he telephoned me about the murder. So now you come to my studio to look for stolen property. Très bien. My studio, she is at your command.
Well, this isn't exactly what we expected. You see...
There is no need for apology. You will pardon if I go. I am promised to see Madame Van Allenhaven tonight, and perhaps to buy her library.
Yeah, but hold on. Just a minute.
When you have searched my studio, if you will lock this front door, please. Au revoir.
Wow. Well, of all
You've come to my studio for look for stolen property. I am happy to have you.
Yeah, that's what's wrong, Inspector. Mr. Lys is too free. He knows there's nothing here. If he dealt in stolen goods, he was brain careful not to store them in this studio.
Mike, let's go after him. He's going to tell us a few things.
Wait a minute, Inspector. He's already told us something. A guard at the museum named Olson telephones him that Wakeman has been murdered and tells Lys about us. What for?
Yeah. Lys and the guard must be working this together.
Maybe, but that's what we've got to find out.
And I know how we will find out, Inspector. We are going to search his studio.
For what?
I want a cardboard box, some wrapping paper, and a shipping label. Then back to the museum as fast as we can go.
The sergeant's got Olson in the next room, Mike. You ready for him?
Yes, Inspector. Yeah, now look. This is the way we'll work it. On the desk here, we've got the box all wrapped and addressed to Richard Bradley. Now, inside, we've planted a Chinese vase that we borrowed temporarily from the museum. We'll call in Olson. We'll tell him we found this box at Lys' studio.
And then when he recognizes it as museum property, we hope he'll get rattled and confess.
Right.
Huh?
Okay, kids, let's begin the act.
Olson, in here, please.
Olson, we just got back from a little trip downtown. In looking through the studio of an art dealer, Francois Lys, we ran across a package. This box here on the desk.
Well, what about it? We'd like you to read the label on it.
I don't get what you're driving at.
All right, Olson, I'll read the shipping label for you. To Mr. Richard Bradley. Well, suppose we see what's inside the package, huh? Here we are. Well, very pretty.
It's a vase.
A rare Chinese vase, Olson, from this museum.
Why, how do you...
It was one of the things stolen from here, Olson.
And we know who stole it. We know. Now are you going to talk?
No, I didn't take that. He never told me anything about it.
You admit you stole for Francois Lys.
Look out, Phil!
He came through the window.
I didn't take... No. Oh.
Right through the heart, Inspector.
Sergeant, McCarthy, Tubin.
The side door, Inspector. Come on, this way.
All that work for that. The front brick wall.
Bring him over here into the light.
Holy jumping. It looks like it is.
Francois Lys.
No, let me go. You are wrong.
Inspector, we caught him running for his car. We got his gun. It's still warm.
Salads
and one
are
of the
good.
chambers is empty.
No, you do not understand.
But we do, Mr. Lys. You were afraid the guard would talk and you killed him.
But you were just a little too late. He confessed that he was working for you.
All right. Yes, I admit. I killed Olson. But not Dr. Wakeman. No, never.
We let a jury decide that.
Inspector, shall I call off all the boys now?
I wouldn't do that, Inspector. This case is not closed yet.
What are you talking about, Mike?
We've caught the man who killed Olson, but the man who murdered Dr. Wakeman is still at large. We've still got one murderer to catch.
In just a moment, we'll return to Michael Shayne and his adventures. Friends, the radiator on your automobile plays a definite part in the economical operation of your engine. Like other parts, it needs some attention now and then. You see, the small honeycomb cores and water pipes of a radiator are easily plugged with rust, dirt, and scale. When that happens, the water circulation is impaired, the temperature gauge shouts danger, and the engine loses efficiency. That's why, with the hottest part of summer yet to come, it's a good idea.
Hello and welcome, Liz. Says it's a fun build. I love this build. I up until this brick wall here, that was kind of a pain to put together. I made one little mistake and it threw off the whole thing. But we know, as Lego builders, that's what can happen. So so far, yeah, I'm back on track and building, and we are listening to some detective noir shows as I build this. So welcome to the channel. I'm pretty much live almost every night, Monday through Friday or whatever, Saturday too, building these because of my gigantic Lego city. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Back to Michael Shayne as I build.
To make sure that the cooling system of your automobile is working properly. And the quickest way to do that is to have your Union Oil Minuteman clean your radiator with Union Radiator Flush. Union Radiator Flush is harmless to metal, but its special solvent action cuts scale and rust right out of choked water lines. Then, with this foreign matter flushed out, the clean water can circulate rapidly and the engine stays cooler. Remember, your Minuteman can flush the radiator while you wait. The cost is nominal, and you'll benefit with cooler summer driving. You can get Union Radiator Service wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Mike is certain that the capture of Francois Lys does not solve the murder of Dr. Wakeman. In the office of Dr. Wakeman, the inspector argues the point with Mike and Phyllis.
I'm sorry, Mike. I just don't get your reasoning. Lys admits he and Olson were robbing the museum. He admits he killed Olson to cover up. Then why do you accept his denial that he killed Wakeman?
You just gave me my reason, Inspector. Lys will be convicted for one murder. It will make no difference to him to confess the second killing. That's why I think he's telling the truth.
In other words, Mike, You think the second killing occurred tonight merely because of our investigation of the first killing?
Correct, Angel.
Okay, suppose you're right. Maybe Olson killed Wakeman. They're both dead. One murder cancels out the other.
No, Inspector, no. The murder of Dr. Wakeman was very clever, too clever for Olson to have thought of.
Mike, you must have something in mind.
I have. I was just thinking. When we first started out tonight, we found that safe over there unlocked. Dr. Wakeman wouldn't leave it unlocked with constant thefts going on around here.
Do you think the murderer made him open it?
Well, let's have another look inside that safe, huh? There's a lot of valuable stuff in there. If we could find it... Wait a minute. That papyrus. The Book of the Dead, remember?
Yeah, sure. The professor said it was kept in the safe.
Yeah, the young one. Barron said it was misplaced.
That's what he said. Now, I'm no expert on Egyptology, but I do know that the Book of the Dead is an extremely rare old papyrus in delicate condition. Now, if you were going to steal it, what would you put it in? How would you carry it?
Well, I see a half-dozen long metal cylinders in the safe. I suppose you'd carry it in one of them.
Okay, let's check them.
All of them are labeled. Prayer scroll of Imshet Sup.
Yeah, and record of Noble's War.
Hey, here's one with no label. It's bigger. All dusty and dirty.
What? Let me see that.
Yeah, it's even got cobwebs on it. But the safe itself is almost antiseptically clean.
Inspector.
Yeah.
Look at these spots. They're all over the cylinder. You know what made them?
Water spots.
Yeah, water. And I'll bet you the papyrus inside this tube is the Book
Front
of the Dead.
porch.
Okay, Inspector, get everybody in here.
Why, yes, Mr. Sheen, that's the Book of the Dead. We always keep it in the safe.
Yes, as I said, Wakeman must have misfiled it.
Professor Barron, you told us you were studying this papyrus just the other day.
Oh,
Yet now we
man.
find it in an old dusty
WTF. If this
container.
could only...
I don't know why...
If I could make it into like an Evil Dead cabin, that would be really perfect. But that is the A-frame cabin right there. It's not going to be as spooky as that's for sure. Lark Bark, hey, what's going on, Lark Bark? Good to see you. But yeah, great ideas. I have some good ideas for Halloween that I'm going to try to attempt for sure. So, but let's see. This episode is almost over. Let's keep playing it.
All the other papyrus cylinders are perfectly clean and bear labels. Where did this dirty, unlabeled container come from?
It must be from the storehouse, a building away out back of the museum.
Are there a lot of spiders out there?
Spiders?
Naturally, it's an old building.
All right. I'll tell you exactly how Dr. Wakeman was murdered. This evening, he opened the safe for somebody who wanted to look at the Book of the Dead. The only thank you he got was to be strangled to death.
Then the killer hung the body behind the curtain so it wouldn't be discovered immediately.
The murderer needed a special carrying container for the papyrus. So he went out to the storehouse and got one and came back. Time was running short. So temporarily, he tucked the papyrus back in the safe, hidden in the new container. It was almost 8:30. He knew Miss Knight and I were due in the office. So he calmly sat down and pretended to be reading. That's when we walked in on you, Professor Cameron.
Why, preposterous. I never heard of such a thing.
Professor, you told us that you came into the museum at 7:30 and spent the whole hour here in the office reading and smoking. It didn't start to rain tonight till almost 8:30. Yet when we came in, you were drying your coat on the radiator.
Well, that doesn't mean
It means everything, sir. This papyrus cylinder has more than dust and cobwebs on it. It's got spots. Water spots, rain spots. Spots that were collected at the same time you collected them on your coat when you came back from the storehouse after you killed Wakeman.
And as final proof, Professor, all four of us here can see wet cobwebs stuck to the back of your trouser legs.
Does that convince you, Professor?
Yes. Yes, I thought I was so careful that no one could prove...
That's what every murderer thinks, sir. But the murderer is always wrong. He always makes some little slip, some little mistake. Tonight you made yours.
Well, kids, there's my car parked across the street. I'll say goodnight and thanks again.
Oh, come on, Inspector. Follow us over to Phil's apartment, huh? She'll fix us some coffee and sandwiches.
Well,
No, I'll do better than that. I'll try out a new spaghetti recipe on you.
spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, there goes my waistline again.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a deal. I'll meet you at the apartment.
Okay, Inspector. We'll see you later, then.
Mike,
Yes?
you know I still don't get it. Why would Professor Cameron kill a man just to own an Egyptian papyrus that he could borrow any time he wanted to? No, it seems no
printed
motive
piece.
for murder.
Well, it seems silly to us, maybe. But you remember how sentimental Dr. Wakeman got about those baby sandals of the Pharaoh Ramesses?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cameron felt the same way about the Book of the Dead. But Cameron was inherently dishonest.
Yes, I suppose so.
Cameron buried himself in his work. He isn't married, didn't play golf or dance or go to movies, didn't have any fun at all. Ah, that's dangerous for any man. Now, what are you giggling about?
It sounds like a perfect description of Mike Shane.
Oh, no. No, there's a difference. I may not be married,
No.
may not play golf or dance, but I've got you, Angel, and I do have fun.
Tune in again next week at 8 o'clock for another adventure with Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis, with Joe Forte as the inspector. Tonight's story was written by Richard DeGraff and based on the character created by Brett Halliday. Music was composed and directed by Bernard Katz. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the people who make 76 gasoline and Triton motor oil. Union Oil Company.
Okay. Yes, I'm on bag 3. We're going to start getting into some details inside of the cabin here. And I should show you guys the best I can. Let me see if I can here real quick. Let me bring this up and see what the camera can get. Okay, so a little bit of a glare, but that is the main cabin. Let me move my microphone. If you can see the outside of it, it's hard to get it in focus. But then we go down to, and then there's an off, kind of a little island type thing with a canoe there in the trees. Kind of cool. And then, come on, where's focus, Dino, focus. Okay. Then, here we go. That's how that works. There they are on the front porch having fun. That's a little otter. I think that's something, a new piece for this set. I'm not sure. That's them in the cabin itself cooking up. I'll be making some of those pieces in bag 3 here, I think, in just the dimensions and stuff. So you can kind of see 2 floors here. So it's going to be pretty cool. So there you go. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview. Yes, love the canoe, Harry. The canoe is definitely my favorite, and I'm going to put it in. You know, I did something wrong with one of these too. This backpack has got to go on the back. I'll do that afterwards. But yeah, no, this is definitely fun so far, except for that little hiccup with me trying to get those pieces together. But I am on bag 3. I just started doing some details on the inside. Let's go to, it's going to be Michael Shane while I'm doing these. So let's do another Michael Shane. Let's do a popular one, Missing Body from 1945. Missing Body from 1945. Make sure you guys give a thumbs up. Comment if you would afterwards, after the stream. But yeah, tonight, nice detective stream. There's a bit of Jeff Reagan, Nick Carter, Casey, crime photographer, and then a little spattering of others. So hopefully you guys enjoy that overnight tonight. Yeah, a great conversation last night, too, if you missed it. Paranormal Into the Night with me and Dave Plouffe, as we talked about UFOs and Bob Lazar and all kinds of... We talked Skinwalker Ranch. We talked about a lot of different things, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But here we go with Michael Shane, Missing Body, as I continue with Bag 3. Thank you guys for being here, and much love to you guys. Here we go.
The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective. The people who make 76 gasoline and Triton motor oil, Union Oil Company, present The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis. It's just before noon on a bright but blustery day in San Francisco. And Mike Shane, San Francisco's favorite detective, instead of chasing criminals, is sitting peacefully in his office, academically discussing crime and its detection with his able and attractive associate, Phyllis Knight. And, oh yes, the inspector of homicide who has come to take them to lunch.
You see, Inspector, I'm not criticizing the police department when I say that I'm not bound by the rules that, well, you, for instance, are bound.
I realize that, Mike. I have to be pretty sure of my ground before I make an arrest. I have to have evidence enough to convince the district attorney, and he has to have reasonable prospects of obtaining a conviction before he goes to the grand jury.
Plus the fact that you, Inspector, can be sued for wrongful arrest, whereas we, Mike and I, never arrest anybody. We pass the buck to you.
I know all that. But what I'm getting at is this. Mike has something in the way of, well, being able to nose out a suspect that we, well, that is, most of us in the department either don't have or else don't apply.
The answer is simple. Proving it is difficult.
Let's hear it in all its simplicity.
Well, you and every other member of the department are so busy taking notes, which you have to do, that you get into the habit of reading what witnesses and suspects have to say.
Like when some of the round pieces try to escape, it's like I'll be building, and then all of a sudden, out of clear blue, one of them starts to roll like this one, like, here we go. And it's like takes its way off of the table, and I'm like, get back there, you're not going anywhere. Hey, Tragic Mammal, what's going on? Good to see you.
Whereas I listen to their tones, to their delivery. I strain my ears for the meaning behind what they say, instead of the mere words.
I'll admit all that.
I think there's something else, Inspector. Although I hesitate to say this.
Don't spare my feelings, Phyllis.
No, I'm not thinking of your feelings. It's Mike's.
Oh, don't spare mine, Angel. You never do.
Oh. Well, in spite of the fact that Mike hates criminals and hates crime, I think he has a criminal mind.
Angel, what you just said.
I mean it. Mike seems to be saying to himself, if I had committed this crime, how would I go about it? Or if I were the important clue, where would I be found?
Well, that's not a criminal mind, Angel. That's just that I...
Michael Shane, Private Detective.
Hi, Phil. Is the inspector there?
Oh, sure thing, Sergeant. For you, Inspector.
Uh-oh. Hope this doesn't break our lunch date. Hello, Sergeant.
Report homicide, Inspector. A man named Porter called up and said he found a body at 323 Foothill.
Any idea who the murdered man is?
Porter said the man's name was Beatty. Didn't give much more information. He seemed pretty upset, not too coherent.
Okay, Sergeant. I'll meet you there as soon as I can get there.
Homicide, huh?
Yeah. Well, what do you want? Murder or lunch?
Oh, don't be silly, Inspector. We'll pass up a whole week's meals for a murder anytime.
This is the street.
Yeah. And that looks like the apartment. Right there, with a man standing on the steps.
Yeah, that's it. No signs of your boys yet, Inspector.
No, but then we were closer than headquarters. That must be Porter. Looks all upset.
Well, wouldn't you if you just found a body?
Are you, Mr. Porter?
Yes. I've been pacing up and down these steps waiting. I thought you'd never come.
Where's the body?
Upstairs, on the couch in his living room.
This isn't your house, then?
No, this is Mr. Beatty's house.
Oh.
You were visiting Mr. Beatty?
I called to take him to lunch.
When?
Just before I called the police. Not more than 20 minutes ago. In this way, please. Yes. Well, I went in, and there he was lying on the couch. There was a knife sticking out of his chest. I ran over to him, felt for his heart, and got my fingers all sticky with blood.
You shouldn't have touched the body.
Well, I didn't know it was a body. He might still have been alive. Had he been, I would have called a doctor before I called the police.
That makes sense.
Where is he? In this room?
On the couch there. But he must be.
Body? There's no body on this couch.
But he was there.
Maybe you were mistaken. Maybe he wasn't dead.
Oh, but he was dead. He was cold. He was bleeding. His heart wasn't beating.
Ugh.
What's the matter, Angel?
Oh, there's blood on the couch. I just got my hand in it.
So you're right. Here, here's my handkerchief.
Well, if he was dead, someone must have removed him.
But they couldn't, Inspector. There's only one entrance to the apartment through the front door.
There's no back door to the apartment?
No, and I've been here all the time. I haven't been out of the sight of that front door since I discovered his body. I feel sick. I've got to sit down.
Okay, now calm yourself. I don't blame you for being upset. But we'd better get this straightened out.
Mr. Porter, tell us what you did from the very start.
Well, I told you. I came to take him to lunch.
If he was dead, how did you get in?
Well, the door was open, and that's funny, too, because he was always careful about locking and bolting it.
Go on. The door was open, so you went in?
I found him, and when I saw he was dead, I phoned the police. You'll probably find my bloody fingerprints on the phone.
Yes. Then what did you do?
Well, I walked up and down, and I went to the front door. I came back and... Oh, I remember. I saw the mail lying in the hallway. I absently, almost unthinkingly, picked it up.
Where did you put it?
On the table there.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Oh, the wind must have blown it on the floor. There. That's it?
That's it.
Then you did what?
Well, that's all. I walked back and forth, and I'd walk downstairs to the front door to look for the police, and then I'd come back.
And you were never out of sight of that hallway and front door?
No, not for 1 second.
Well, it's a cinch that even Houdini couldn't take a body out this back window.
That window was open?
Yes.
Oh, no signs of anything on the sill.
No, and even if there were, Mike, look there. Workmen working on that building would be bound to see anything like that.
Yeah, you're right, Angel.
You up there, Inspector?
Yeah, come upstairs.
Well, what do you think, Inspector?
I don't know what to think. What's more, I don't know what to do.
Oh, what do you mean you don't know what to do?
Well, to put it bluntly, how do I go about finding a murderer when I haven't even got a body?
But there was a body, and there has been a murder committed. You can't talk like that about not doing anything.
The man's right, Inspector.
I know perfectly well he's right. But why don't you suggest something?
All right, I will.
What?
Let's go hunt a body.
We'll return to the adventures of Michael Shayne in just a moment. You know, you hear a lot about magical post-war products and how easy they're going to make your life. Well, friends, one such product is here already. Yes, that's right. It's Union Oil Company's Luster Wash, a product that makes washing your car just about the easiest, simplest thing you've ever done. All you do is empty a small package of Union Luster Wash into a pail of water. Using an ordinary rag, apply the mixture generously over the car. Then, just rinse off with a hose, and you're all through. In 10 to 15 minutes, your car is clean from radiator cap to taillight. No fuss, no bother, no mess. Union Luster Wash is harmless to the car finish and to your hands, yet cleans as fast as you can apply it, and without the usual elbow grease. Luster Wash is not a soap, but a special detergent compound which dissolves road film and traffic dirt on contact, leaving the surface clean and smooth. You'll be amazed at how fast it works and how clean it makes your car. A package of Luster Wash sells for only 10 cents and is enough to wash any average car. Remember the name, Luster Wash, for a new, easy way to wash your car. You can get Luster Wash at any Union Oil Minuteman station. Just drive in wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Thank you. Mike, Phyllis, and the inspector have been confronted with a murder, a man who saw the victim, but so far no corpse. They've finished searching the apartment and stand looking at one another.
Well, if there's a body in this house, it must be in small pieces and hidden in cracks in the walls.
Well, there's certainly no body in this apartment.
But, Inspector, Mr. Shane, I saw it.
We know, Mr. Porter, but it isn't here now.
Look, we've all had our say on the body. Let's change to something else.
We pretty well covered the apartment. Not only us, but the sergeant and his boys.
We couldn't find a thing amiss.
Granted. So let's take a look at the murdered man's mail.
Oh, here it is. I put it on this end table.
Oh, thanks. Ad from flower shop. Oh, open this one, Inspector.
Okay.
Here's another ad. And you open this one, Angel.
All right.
I'll tackle this one.
Hey, Mike.
What?
Listen. I warned you for the last time. Settle up or else. Signed. I can't read the initials, but the signature looks like Reynolds.
Oh, that must be...
Yeah? Tell us more.
Well, I don't know very much, but Reynolds and another man by the name of Weaver went into some sort of a deal with Beatty. They felt that Beatty had swindled them. Not in the way that they could go to law, you understand, but in such a way that Beatty didn't lose his money, but they lost theirs. And Beatty told me that he'd been threatened by them. He told me he was worried, but that was all.
Why the dickens didn't you tell me this before?
Oh, because I didn't think it was important. You surely don't think that either Reynolds or Weaver would kill Beatty over a thing like that?
We don't know, but it's our only lead so far. Wouldn't you say so, Mike?
Oh, not exactly, but it's one we've got to follow up, of course.
You'll return home, Mr. Porter?
Yes, of course. I'll be there if you need me.
Okay. Let's go, Phil, Mike. We'll go in my car. Let's see. The address on this stationery of Reynolds is Stats Building.
I'll stay behind, Inspector, just in case of any phone calls or anything like that.
Right, sure, Sergeant.
Doesn't anybody want to know what was in the letter I opened?
Huh?
Why, you little... I wondered why you were so quiet all of a sudden.
What is it, Phil?
No, I didn't want to read it while we were in the room.
You think we'd better wait till we reach the car?
Oh, no. We're out of earshot.
Okay, shoot.
It says, I don't suppose I should care what happens to you, but just the same, you are a fool. I've told you before that I don't trust Porter, and I'm more sure of it now than ever before.
What's the signature?
There isn't any. But although it's written on a typewriter, I'll make you a bet.
What?
What?
I'll bet you this warning was sent by a woman.
Eighth floor, please.
Yes, sir, 8th floor.
We're making a kitchen here.
There's Reynolds' office right down the hall.
Yeah, there's a man just going in.
Yeah, we might be in luck. That might be Weaver.
Something tells me that this isn't going to be very profitable.
Well, we'll soon see.
Yes? May I help you?
We'd like to see Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds is busy just now. If you'd care to wait, he has someone with him.
The someone with him isn't by any chance Mr. Weaver.
Well, yes, it is, but how... Oh, you saw him come in just before you did.
Then if it is Mr. Weaver, that's most fortunate, because we want to see both gentlemen.
Well, I don't know. I'll ring Mr. Reynolds.
Please don't. We're on police business, and we'd rather go in unannounced.
Oh, but I...
Well, and to what do I owe this intrusion? Isn't my receptionist out there?
Your receptionist isn't at fault, Mr. Reynolds. I'm from police headquarters. We'd like to ask a few questions.
Police? What on earth for?
You sent this threatening letter, Mr. Reynolds?
Let me see. Yes, I did. And I'll send more if I don't get satisfaction.
Satisfaction for what, sir?
I don't think it is anyone's business.
It's police business, Mr. Reynolds. Now, we can all be very comfortable and save a lot of time by getting our answers here. But, of course, if you prefer headquarters, then that's your privilege.
No. Well, if Beatty has been fool enough to report this letter to the police, I'll tell you all you want to know.
We'd like to know why you wrote the letter.
Well, briefly, Beatty, Mr. Weaver here, and I put up equal amounts of money into an enterprise. It was at Beatty's inducement. Beatty had the inside track on the thing. He knew before we did that the venture wasn't going well. He withdrew his money without giving us a chance to withdraw ours.
And the venture folded.
It did, and...
Go on, sir.
Reynolds and I feel that Beatty should share the loss with us.
In other words, you feel that Beatty should split what he got out of the deal 3 ways with you, too.
Yes. Legally, of course, we can't compel him. Morally, we feel entitled to it.
Where does Mr. Porter fit into this scheme?
Porter? He doesn't fit in at all. He's just a real estate man who helped Reynolds find a warehouse.
A personal friend of Reynolds?
Well, yes.
You said warehouse. Is the warehouse being used, Weaver?
No. We still have a lease on it, but the business folded 3 weeks ago.
And the warehouse is empty?
Yes, quite empty.
You have the keys.
I do. You want to borrow them?
Yes. Thanks.
Now, one more question. Where is the warehouse?
It's at 2200 Key Street. Beatty, Weaver, and Reynolds is on the signboard.
Oh, boy, what a rat trap.
Yeah? Well, here's hoping it's more than just a rat trap.
Kind of don't understand why a lot of these plates keep lifting back off of the studs. I usually Legos fit perfect and don't come off of the base or anything, but they keep doing that. I'm not sure, but you got the kitchen starting to take shape. The walls, it's coming along good. And yeah, it's hot out there. I mean, there's nothing else we can say except stay safe, stay cool, and hot enough to fry an egg on the asphalt. Me and my brother tried that once, and it worked. Of course you could. When we were down in the greenhouses, we broke up an egg and fried it, and it was it had to be like around 100 degrees, and it's something to behold. Cooking on the we couldn't eat it, but can you imagine scrambling it up in there? So, okay, here we go.
A man trap.
Yeah, this looks like the key. Well, yeah, here we go.
All right, now careful where you walk. Remember they said the business folded 3 weeks ago. There should be enough dust on the floor to show footprints.
The place is empty enough.
There are footprints leading to that cubbyhole of an office.
Well, leave us have a look-see. There's not a blessed thing in here, except this old table. Take a look, Phil, Inspector.
Yeah.
You noticed how the dust is disturbed on the edge of the table next to the wall?
True. That means that table was moved.
Yeah. No, it may not mean a thing, but keep it in mind.
Outside of that rickety chair out in the warehouse, that seems to be everything.
No loose boards or hidden closets or anything?
Nah, pretty much of a blank.
Mike?
Yeah?
Inspector.
Yeah?
Here. Take a look at this chair. I may be wrong, but...
What is it, Angel?
Oh, look, that spot. Dry, shiny. It looks like brown paint, but it...
Could be blood, huh?
It does look like blood. One single drop.
If it is a blood spot, it dropped from quite a height. You see how it's spread out like a seal? Inspector.
Yeah?
That table. Let's get it out here, right in the center of the floor.
Okay.
Now, the chair on top of the table.
Yeah.
Mike, that ventilator in the roof.
Right, Angel, right?
I didn't notice it till now.
Oh, it's a common failing. People never lift their eyes high enough. Now, give me a hand, Inspector. Okay. I hate to twist an ankle, even on a murder case. There.
Any luck?
Yes. Yes, blood on the edge of the vent.
You need a flashlight, Mike?
The body's here, all right. Close to the eaves and lying along the rafters.
That'll do till the police surgeon gets here.
Yeah, okay. Phil, will you make an inventory of all the stuff as we search it?
Mm-hmm. Shoot.
Okay. Leather wallet, identity card, J.J. Beatty. Driver's license, age 52.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was stabbed twice, Mike. Once in the back, and that was the stab that killed him.
Stabbed again in the chest, eh?
Looks that way. Autopsy will tell us definitely.
Mm-hmm. Pocket handkerchief.
Okay, 1 or 2.
1 in trouser pocket, 1 folded in breast pocket of coat.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Checkbook, balance $800, 30 cents.
Any stubs to Porter, Reynolds, or Weaver?
No, Mike. Seems to be all for light bills, gas bills, department store purchases, things like that.
Pipe, tobacco pouch, and book of matches.
Yeah.
Bill clip with $25 in loose cash. 3 silver dollars, 90 cents, and 2 streetcar tokens.
Old-fashioned gold watch and chain. Watch engraved, J.J. Beatty, from Fellow Workers, Wadsworth Plant, Kansas, 1913.
Uh-huh.
Fountain pen and pencil. And that seems to be it.
Okay, then. That's all.
Got it? Got it all down in my own inimitable shorthand.
So, that's all, is it?
What do you mean, Mike?
Yeah. Why that cat that ate the canary look on your face?
Once before, I told you that something was so blamed obvious that I wasn't going to tell you what it was.
Oh, we remember, Daddy.
Okay. The same thing applies here. Now, come on, let's get going.
I don't know where you'd like to go, but I'd like to put in a phone call.
Who to, Phil?
First, to Mr. Beatty's wife, if he has one, ex or otherwise, to see if she wrote that warning note to Beatty.
One run. Go ahead.
If no Mrs. Beatty exists, then to the little receptionist at Reynolds' office for additional...
Two runs,
milk
no
container.
errors. I'm with you.
Good. And I'd like to use a police teletype.
I'm with you on that one, Mike. We'll teletype Kansas to see what associates Mr. Beatty had in the days of his past. But I'm still puzzled about what you seem to know that we don't.
I don't know a thing that you don't know, Inspector. I'll give you one hint. Just one. But you mustn't ask any more questions.
I'll bite. Go ahead.
Just put your hands in your pockets, Inspector. That's all. Just put your hands in your pockets.
In just a moment, we'll return to Mike and Phyllis. Ladies and gentlemen, a few minutes ago, we told you about a sensational new way to wash your car. Now, if you think that there can't be anything new about washing a car, well, just try Union Luster Wash. You see, Luster Wash is a special detergent compound that makes washing a car just about the easiest, simplest thing you've ever done. All you do is empty a small package of Union Luster Wash into a pail of water. Then, with an ordinary rag, apply the mixture generously. To finish, you simply rinse the car with a hose. That's all. No rubbing or elbow grease is necessary. In 10 to 15 minutes, your car is clean from radiator cap to taillight. Luster Wash cleans glass and chromium, too, which means you don't have to use a chamois afterwards. It's harmless to the finish and to your hands, and leaves no film to dull the surface. No matter how dirty your car may be, Union Luster Wash will wash it as swiftly as you can apply it. A package sells for just 10 cents, 1 dime, and is enough to wash any average car. Remember the name, Union Luster Wash, for a new, easy way to wash your car. You can buy Luster Wash at all Union Oil Minuteman stations. Just drive in wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76. Thank you. Mike Shane, Phyllis, and the inspector are at headquarters. Phyllis is on the phone. Mike is looking at his notes, and every few minutes, the inspector guiltily puts his hands in his pockets, pulling them out again when he catches Mike's eye.
Doggone you, Mike. You got me as self-conscious as a giggling schoolgirl.
It's your own fault, Inspector, your own fault. If the solution of the murder depended on it, I'd tell you right now, but, well, it's only one mate.
Hush, kids.
Huh?
She's on the phone.
Oh, who?
The ex-Mrs. Beatty.
Oh.
Hello?
Mrs. Beatty.
Yes?
Mrs. Beatty, don't hang up when you hear my question, because if you do, you'll be called right back, and that will be by the police.
Yes. Go on.
Did you by any chance send a note of warning to Mr. Beatty? Well, Mrs. Beatty?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Well, it's hard to explain, but there was something about this Mr. Porter I didn't trust. Oh, I haven't seen much of Mr. Beatty these last few years, but I've met him socially several times when he's been with this man Porter.
Mm-hmm. Go on, Mrs. Beatty.
Well, that's all. I have only a woman's intuition for not trusting Mr. Porter. He reminds me of someone. I can't remember who, but someone not to be trusted.
And that's all?
Honestly, that's all.
Thanks very much. Well, there's not much there. She sent the note, but just womanly intuition made her distrust Porter.
You think she was telling the truth?
Well, yes, don't you?
Not entirely. Not the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes?
Report from Kansas, sir.
Bring it in, Sergeant.
Yes, Inspector. I'll get it typed up.
Doggone, if there isn't something in the Kansas report, we're going to have a regular unsolved mystery on our hands.
Wouldn't like to call in Sherlock Holmes or Father Brown, would you?
Oh, Mike, this is serious. This is murder.
I know it is, Inspector. Now, look, both of you.
Yeah?
When we burst in on Reynolds and Weaver, they didn't show any signs of knowing that Beatty was dead. I mean, they were wholly taken up with the idea that Beatty had brought the police into it because of the threatening letter.
That's right.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Reynolds said that if that letter didn't bring results, he'd send more letters.
Right, Angel, right. And although that could be cleverness, I'd be inclined to mark it down as truthfulness.
You may be inclined to mark it down that way, Mike, but until we have the murderer in our hands, everybody who ever knew Beatty is a suspect in my little list.
Granted, Inspector, but Weaver didn't hesitate to give us the keys to the warehouse.
You can't lay too much stress on that, though, Mike. Both Weaver and Reynolds knew that we could get into that warehouse without keys.
True, but to be able to carry off their interview with us with such savoir-faire would indicate that they were very clever and very experienced crooks, which I, for one, don't believe they are.
Yeah, but Mike, murderers don't have to be crooks. Many a killing is a criminal's first and last crime.
I know that, Inspector. I'm thinking out loud to convince myself. You see, what I...
Yes, sir. Not much, I'm afraid.
Let's see what this says. Only connection Beatty ever had with police was as witness in robbery trial. His testimony was essential in proving guilt of defendant.
And the defendant's name was Porter.
Yes, Phil, the defendant's name was Porter.
Well, what are we waiting for? That's it.
No, not quite, Phil. You see, Porter died in a penitentiary in 1936.
Oh, well, then, of course, it isn't the same Porter.
That report doesn't say whether or not Porter had a brother.
No, Mike, it doesn't.
But I'd be almost willing to bet that he had. What so many women like to call woman's intuition is nothing more or less than a half-forgotten incident or something half-heard and half-forgotten.
You think that Mrs. Beatty's instinctive dislike for Porter is because of the name? Or a likeness between the Porter who found the body and the Porter who went to jail?
Yes, Inspector, that's exactly what I do mean.
Well, that shouldn't be hard to find out. But it still isn't the stuff that convinces district attorneys or grand juries.
No, Inspector, but on the face of it, I think another interview is justified.
Interview? Who with?
All of our suspects, Weaver, Reynolds, Porter, and Mrs. Beatty.
All right, Mike. We've got nothing to lose.
We have everything to gain. You see, our chief suspect holds the key to this little mystery, and we'll find that key at 323 Foothill. Quiet, please. Quiet. Now, to some of you, this is going to be somewhat of a shock. But Mr. Beatty has been murdered.
What?
We found the body in the warehouse you used, Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Weaver. But Mr. Porter had the distinction of finding it first, although he lost it again. Will you take over from there, Mr. Porter?
Well, I came here this morning to take Mr. Beatty to lunch. The door was open, which was funny because he was very careful about locking and bolting the door. I came upstairs, found him lying on the couch, stabbed through the chest. I ran over and felt him to see if he was alive. Found he was dead and called the police.
And got your fingers all sticky with blood?
Yes. Then I wandered about the apartment. Went downstairs to the front door to watch for the police and came back upstairs and picked up the mail.
The mail which contained the threatening letter from Mr. Reynolds and the warning from Mrs. Beatty.
I don't know about that, but anyway, when you arrived, we all came upstairs and the body was gone. It couldn't have been taken out the front door because I was never out of sight of the head of the stairs.
And we know it wasn't taken out the back because there's no back door. Would you have any explanation for that, Mr. Reynolds?
No, I can't see how.
Or you, Mr. Weaver?
No explanation.
And I'm sure that Mrs. Beatty hasn't.
Oh, no, it's completely baffling to me.
It was to us for quite a while. The reason it was baffling was because we were stupid enough to believe Mr. Porter.
What?
If you picked up the letters after you examined the body and after you phoned the police, how come there are no blood-stained fingerprints on any of them?
And with the wind blowing so hard that it blew the mail off the table, how come the front door was open? It would have blown shut.
And if the body couldn't be taken out the back window and you never lost sight of the front door, how could the body be spirited away?
I don't know. That's the mystery.
No mystery, Porter. Just a tissue of lies, well rehearsed. The body never was here.
But the blood on the couch.
Put there by you after you had hidden the body in the warehouse rafters.
Oh, this is absurd. You can't throw accusations around like that.
We can and we will. Give me your keys.
My keys?
Yes, the keys in your pocket. There, you see. When we searched Mr. Beatty's dead body, we found everything a man usually carries. A wallet, pen and pencil, watch, checkbook, handkerchief. But, Inspector...
Yes?
No keys. No keys to get into his house or anything. Now, what Porter did with the rest of Beatty's keys, I don't know. But here's the key to the warehouse. F24 is its number. It checks with the number of your key, Mr. Weaver.
Yes, that's right.
And one of these two keys is the key to Beatty's apartment. This apartment. Shall I try them, Porter, or do you admit it?
I admit it.
Okay, Inspector. I guess that takes care of that.
We're on our way home.
Ha! But we're not on our way home, Angel.
No? Where are we going?
We're going to meet the inspector and have a late snack at Fisherman's Wharf.
Oh, good. Mike, I wonder if Porter is a brother of the man who died in the penitentiary.
Oh, I'm sure of it. He'd better be.
Why?
Because if he isn't, we'll spend the evening talking to the inspector about motives.
Oh. And what would you rather do, Mike Shane?
Are you asking me or taunting me?
Well, I just... Mike.
Huh?
No, not here in the car. I mean...
Why not, Angel? I can drive with one hand as well as the next.
Tune in again next week at 8 o'clock for another adventure with Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis, with Joe Forte as the inspector. Tonight's story, based on the character created by Brett Halliday, was written and directed by David Taylor. Music was composed and directed by Bernard Katz. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the people who make 76 gasoline and Triton motor oil. Union Oil Company.
Hey, Red, what did the Lego minifigure say to his Lego girlfriend? You're my missing piece. Ah, that's so cute. This is... yeah, the little tiny guitar, man. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think it's going to be part of the, casual atmosphere. I love the record player. I love the bookcase where you can pull out records. I think that is really cool. I go the bookcase where you can pull out records. I mean the record cases, right? Where you would put your big albums at. The Lego rug on the front, I think that's pretty cool. The umbrella stand. Lots of little details in here that make this part really cool. The little milk container on that side too. Looking pretty cool. I like the inside. It's looking pretty darn cool. I like it. On to bag number 4 now. So moving right along, that's for sure. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see. I'm looking at what I'm putting up. Listen, always reviews after I do the build and everything like that. Video, if I can incorporate it in the very last video, that's what I'm trying to do. I couldn't do that with the bakery, so I'm gonna have to make a whole new video just on reviewing the bakery and showing the inside and everything final. But yeah, here, let's do another Michael Shane as I continue this build on to bag number 4. I appreciate if you guys give a thumbs up if you haven't already. Comment afterwards. Tonight's stream, detective stream, there is an overnight tonight. There won't be an overnight every night, but there is one tonight. So I would suggest and ask you if there isn't a stream overnight one night like last night, go into the archives. I've got everything you could possibly ever want. Most of them fixed audio and all that, except the very first couple years. There's some rough sounding ones and I didn't fix, but you know what? There's a charm to the old record player making some sound at points to the older ones. So you got those, the newer ones, a lot of them are fixed and all that. But yeah, you could always do that. 5 years, thousands of 12-hour streams, so there's always something. But yeah, let's move on to bag number 4. I will be playing Michael Shane, Dr. Grant's Dilemma from 1945. Here we go. Enjoy.
The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective. The people who make 76 gasoline and Triton motor oil, Union Oil Company, present The Adventures of Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis. On those rare evenings when Mike Shane and his lovely associate Phyllis Knight are not eagerly in pursuit of a criminal. They are just as eagerly in pursuit of pleasure. But tonight they are not even together, and the reason seems a little mysterious. While Mike glumly putters around his apartment all alone, Phyllis, in her apartment, has a visitor, a handsome-looking woman who talks with nervous gestures.
Now that I'm here, Miss Knight, I don't know how to
me
begin.
Me too,
I asked
Harry.
to come here to your apartment tonight because I've got to talk to you.
You don't have to apologize, Dr. Grant. You asked if we could be alone. We are. You just tell me in your own way.
Well, Miss Knight, you've come to me as a patient to her doctor. Now I come to you not as a doctor, but as a woman in trouble. I've worried so about this thing. It's affected my work at the hospital. I can't sleep nights.
I've never seen you like this before. Dr. Grant, is it about your business? About one of your patients?
Oh, no.
Oh. Is it about your husband?
Well, no, not directly. It's... Oh, I was so stupid, so foolish.
Oh, I think I understand. It's blackmail, isn't it?
How did you know?
From what you didn't tell me. I don't need to know what the situation is. You don't need to explain it. But whatever you do, you must not pay any blackmail.
That's the awful part of it. I already have.
Oh. When?
Years ago. It was back in St. Louis. Now the man turns up here in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. And now he wants more money.
$5,000 before midnight tonight. Oh, it wasn't anything criminal I did, Miss Knight. I was just foolish. And they made an example of me. They expelled me from medical school. I had my name changed legally and went to a different city and entered another medical college. As the years passed, I forgot all about it. I came to San Francisco and built up a fine professional reputation.
Just a second. I want to make some notes. What is this man's name?
John F. Hunt. I'm not afraid for my medical standing, Miss Knight. No one can hurt that. But it's my husband. Irvin isn't politics. His reputation is spotless. But this man forced me to introduce him to Irvin, and Irvin has taken a liking to him.
Oh, I can see where that might lead. A man who would stoop to blackmail won't stop there.
What am I going to do, Miss Knight? He's coming to the house tonight with some other guests.
Dr. Grant, you know that Mr. Shane and I work on all our cases together. He's had considerably more experience with this type of case than
Would
I
he
have.
help me? Could he do something?
Well, I haven't seen Mike fail yet on a blackmail case. Now, if you could invite us to your house tonight, you could tell your husband that we're old friends.
Well, of course. As I said, Irvin has already asked several political friends in for the evening.
That's perfect. I'll telephone Mike right now, and then I want to get some more information from you.
Hello, Angel.
Mike, how'd you know?
I knew you'd get lonesome for me.
Oh, I'm just naturally weak, darling. Look, Mike, get shaved and put on a clean shirt, huh? We're going calling tonight.
A party?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, swell. We're due for some fun.
Not tonight, dear. It's going to be work. Dirty work.
I love me some dirty work.
Oh, good evening, sir. Miss Knight and Mr. Shane.
Oh, of course. Come in.
Thank you.
My wife told me you were coming. I'm Irvin Grant.
How do you
Glad
do?
to know you. I'll take your coat, Miss Knight. The butler's mixing drinks.
Oh, thank you.
Say. Gee, that's a beautiful ship model on the table, sir.
Now, isn't it? Clipper ship, Flying Cloud, made by an old sea captain. If you'll excuse me, I'll go find my wife for you.
Thank you. Well, seems like a right guy.
Oh, yes. Dr. Grant's always talking about him. Very much in love with him.
Oh, boy, that ship model intrigues me. I'd pawn my soul for one like that. Phil, that sounded like a...
It was. It came from the hall.
Huh?
The next room, Mike. The door closed.
Mr. Shane, I heard a shot.
Yes. This door is blocked. There's something against it.
Mike, I think it's a body behind the door.
It's John Hunt.
What in the world is... Oh!
What happened? What happened?
It's Hunt. He's dead.
Very dead. A bullet right through the heart.
No.
I don't see a gun anywhere.
Which means murder.
Bill.
Call the inspector.
Right away.
Mr. Grant, Miss Knight and I came here tonight as your guests, but it so happens that we're private investigators. Now, may I ask if everybody in the house is present in this room?
Why, yes, Mr. McGuire there and Mr. Davis. That's Collins, the butler, in the doorway, and the cook.
Good. Now, the police will be here in a few minutes. For your own protection, while all of us are in sight of each other, I suggest you allow yourselves to be searched for a possible gun.
I guess that's all right.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not a police officer. I have no authority to search you. But this may save you a lot of unnecessary questioning later on.
Very well, Mr. Shane. You may start with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Grant. All right. And you, sir, I don't know your name.
J. Hugh Davis. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Fine. Next.
No, I will not. Grant, this is an insult to your guests. I refuse to be searched.
That's your privilege, sir. And now the butler, Collins?
Yes, sir.
Okay, swell. And the cook?
Oh, no, monsieur. I have no gun.
Well, perhaps we'd better wait until...
I'll search her, Mike. The inspector said he'd be right over.
But I have no gun. I am afraid of guns.
I don't blame you. All right, that's all.
And now, Phyllis, if Dr. Grant will permit you...
Oh, no.
Honey, wait.
Mr. Grant, if you'll stay right here, we'll talk to her. Come on, honey.
Please, Dr. Grant. You've got to get hold of yourself.
I'd have paid him the blackmail. I'd have done anything to avoid this.
Dr. Grant, the police are bound to find out about the blackmail. You can't cover it up.
Oh, no, they mustn't.
They will, Doctor, they will. In fairness to yourself, you'd better tell your husband about Hunt first.
No, I can't.
Oh, of course you can, Doctor. He loves you. He'll understand. People have been blackmailed before.
No, don't you realize? John Hunt was my brother.
Maybe I'll play some Shadow tomorrow.
We'll return to the adventures of Michael Shayne in just a moment. It used to be that washing a car meant the better part of a morning's work, with a lot of fancy equipment and getting wet besides. Well, times have changed. You can now do the same job in 10 minutes without even changing your clothes if you use Union Luster Wash. All you do is empty a small package of Luster Wash into a pail of water. Apply the mixture generously with an ordinary rag and then rinse off with a hose. That's all. In 10 to 15 minutes, your car is clean from radiator cap to tail light. Yes, it's as easy as that. Luster Wash is harmless to the finish and your hands, yet cleans almost magically without scrubbing. That's because Union Luster Wash is not a soap, but a special detergent compound which dissolves road film, grease spots, and dirt on contact, leaving the surface clean and smooth. Luster Wash will clean glass and chromium, too, and you don't have to use a chamois afterwards. You can buy a package of Luster Wash for only 10 cents at any Union Oil Minuteman station. One package is enough to wash any average car. Just drive in wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76 and ask for Union Luster Wash. Thank you. Mike and Phyllis find themselves guarding two very compromising and uncomfortable secrets. Secret number one, the man found murdered in Dr. Grant's house was blackmailing their client. Secret number two, he was their client's own brother. The inspector has just arrived on the scene, and Mike grows more and more uncomfortable under the inspector's question.
You trying to tell me, Mike, that you were not called in to investigate this murder or to represent anyone?
Well, Dr. Grant is Phyllis' physician inspector, and Phil suggested we stop in this evening for a little visit, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And we'd hardly got inside the door when we heard the gunshot. We ran down the hall and found the body here in the library.
Mm-hmm. And who was the last person to see him alive? Don't any of you people know? Mike, don't you know?
Well, I saw Dr. Grant and Mr. Hunt go into the library a few minutes before the shot.
You're Arnold McGuire, aren't you?
Why, yes, the Arnold McGuire of politics.
And which of you is Dr. Grant?
I am.
Doctor, were you talking with Mr. Hunt at the time of the gunshot?
No, I had just left him. I was on my way to the bedroom to fix my hair.
I've already searched everybody, Inspector, to see if they had guns, except Mr. McGuire, who objected.
Oh, that's so? Mr. McGuire, I'll have to ask you to cooperate.
I do not have a gun.
I'm sorry, sir. What's that bulge inside your coat pocket?
Business papers. They're confidential. They have no connection with this murder.
Perhaps not. Oh, by the way, Mike, is the body here just as you found
Just
it?
happened
No,
to
not
see
quite,
ya.
Inspector.
Mr. Hunt
Hey,
fell
sweet
against the
indigo.
door, and I had to push it open.
And that moved the body?
Yeah. You can see where the bullet went through the front
Thought
of
I
his
missed
coat.
it.
Made a
Okay,
nice, clean
sweet
hole.
indigo.
No powder burns.
Mm-hmm. Means the bullet came from a distance. I'd say not less than 15 feet.
Oh, but this is a very small room, Inspector. You'd have to fire the gun way over in the far corner to be 15 feet from the body.
The shot could have come through the doorway. There are 4 doors opening into the library.
Yeah. From the position of the body here, it's in line with all 4 doors. Sergeant.
Yes, sir?
Make a list of everything in the victim's pockets and take a set of his fingerprints.
Right away, sir.
Can any of you tell us who Mr. Hunt was and what he did?
He was a friend of my wife's, sir, from back in St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't employed at the moment. I was thinking of adding him to my staff. Mr. Davis here is overworked.
I see. And Mr. Davis is?
I'm Mr. Grant's political manager.
I see. Well, now let's find out where all you people were at the time the shot was fired.
Dr. Grant said she was on her way to the bedroom. Now, where is that located, Doctor?
It was the downstairs bedroom. That door there leads to it.
The door on the left, Mike.
And you, Mr. Grant?
Why, I think I was in the hall. I was looking for my wife. Then I saw Mr. Shane trying to push the library door open.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. McGuire?
Why, I was in the living room. That's through the second doorway on the right there.
And I was in the dining room eating a sandwich.
That would be the first door on the right, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Then you were all separated. No two people in the same room.
And all had access to the library. What about the servants?
I am Collins, sir. I was in the butler's pantry mixing some cocktails.
Hmm?
The cook was in the kitchen right next to me.
Oui, monsieur, that is the truth. We heard the bang, and I was almost scared to death.
Where is the kitchen and the butler's
It's
pantry?
Yvette
In
from
the other wing
Clue.
of the house, sir.
Do you suppose the shot could have come through this window here?
How could it? The windows were closed and no bullet hole. There's no bullet hole through the glass.
No, and it must be 10 or 12 feet down to the ground.
Oh, Inspector.
What is it, Sergeant?
So I found this check crumpled up in Hunt's hand.
Let's see. Pay to the order of John F. Hunt. $500, signed John Hugh Davis. What is this, Mr. Davis?
Why, that's just a check I gave him on a business deal. It was a personal matter.
Business deal? Why, Davis, I thought you were so bitterly against my hiring Hunt.
I was, so far as your business was concerned, but for my purposes, he was quite all right.
I think we'd better take a look at Mr. Hunt's living quarters. Maybe we'll find out about some of these personal business deals and why someone wanted to kill him.
Here's his address from the wallet, Inspector.
Want to go along, Mike?
Well, I doubt we'll find much, Inspector. I got a hunch the solution is right here in this house.
Just the same, we'll check up. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Nobody is to leave this house till we get back.
Yes, sir.
Collins, will you find my coat for me, please?
Of course, ma'am.
Mike, you and Phil and I have been friends for a long time, haven't we?
Oh, I guess for more years than Phil would like to admit.
Oh.
Yeah, you two have helped me out on many a case. You've always played fair with me in the police department.
What are you driving at, Inspector?
I know that you kids didn't come here just for an innocent social evening. And I noticed, Mike, that when I started to question Dr. Grant, you switched me off on another track. What are you holding out on me?
Okay, Inspector, okay, but you've got to keep this under your skull cap.
I can't promise that.
Well, I think you will when you know. John Hunt was blackmailing Dr. Grant.
Blackmailing? Why didn't you tell me? There's our motive.
Oh, no, don't be silly, Inspector. Dr. Grant came to my apartment and told me the whole story an hour before the murder. Well, she wouldn't tell me and invite us to a party and kill a man with all those people around.
All right, but she did give you a lead that would help us.
Well, I can't remember everything she said, but I took notes in shorthand as she talked.
All right, Phil, let's have them.
Your coat, ma'am.
Oh, yes, thank you. I left the notes in my apartment. Mike, you give me the keys and I'll run over and pick them up, huh?
Okay.
And while you're doing that, Phil, Mike and I'll explore the apartment of John F. Hunt. Telephone bills, gas bills, and laundry list. Mike, the desk is crammed with junk, but nothing that matters.
Well, that's what I expected. Hunt was too smart a guy to leave anything important lying around for some... I take that back.
What?
Here's a manila folder in this bureau drawer.
Some clippings with a photograph pinned to them. Snapshot of a boy and girl in a canoe.
Yeah, and some writing on the back. Malcolm and Mary, June 12, 1914.
Hey, look at this first clipping underneath the photo. Legal notice. Change of name from Mary Boyd to Mary Allen. And the next one. Prominent attorney marries woman doctor. Last night, Irving Grant was wed to Dr. Mary Allen in a simple ceremony at... Mike, this is a file on Dr. Grant, alias Mary Allen, alias Mary Boyd.
Yes, I know. John F. Hunt is another alias. He was her brother.
I see. Of course, you didn't let me in on that little fact. Now, how much more do you know?
That's all, Inspector. That's all. The whole works.
You sure of it?
Positive. And before you start jumping to conclusions, Inspector, do you know if the sergeant took those fingerprints of Hunt?
Yeah, I got them in an envelope here.
Well, then I suggest we go down to headquarters and see if we can collect some local color on Brother John.
Good idea, but what about Phil?
Well, I'm calling her now.
Hello?
It's Mike, Angel.
I'm typing these notes, Mike.
Well, listen, the inspector and I are going down to headquarters fingerprint checkup. You want to meet us there?
Oh, sure thing. Be there in a few minutes.
Okay, Angel, I'll see you at headquarters.
Well, Mike, looks like we struck the jackpot. Here's the card file on our man.
Under the name Malcolm Boyd. John F. Hunt must be a new alias.
Yeah. 1931 St. Louis. Forgery conviction. 3 years Missouri State Prison. 1935 New York. Forgery and blackmail. 9 years Sing Sing.
Wow.
1945 San Francisco. Drunk charge. Mike. Seems to be more and more little details you didn't bother to tell me.
This is the first I've heard about it, Inspector, believe me. And I'm just as sore as you are. Dr. Grant should have told Phyllis and me. We're entitled to know these things.
Yeah. Dr. Grant may be a reputable physician. She may be married to a prominent man. But when her brother is blackmailing her, a brother who is an ex-convict, well, I couldn't give her a better motive for murder.
Agreed, Inspector, but I saw the way she reacted when she first saw the body. No matter what Hunt had done to her, she was still his sister.
And Irving Grant was still his brother-in-law.
Grant?
Yeah. Maybe this wasn't such a well-kept secret after all. Maybe Grant discovered his wife was being blackmailed, that his brother-in-law was an ex-convict. How do we know that Mr. Grant didn't kill the man to save his wife and to protect his own reputation? No answer for that, huh, Mike?
I was just thinking. Pretty much the same could be said about Grant's manager, Mr. Davis. You noticed how uncomfortable he got when we found his check for $500 crumpled in Hunt's hand? Just a personal business deal, says Davis. But I'll bet it was more blackmail.
Yeah, very probably.
And Mr. McGuire, why wouldn't he let us search him? What were those private confidential papers in his pocket which he wouldn't show us?
Yeah, both men are suspects. But, Mike, don't try to kid me by laying down a smokescreen. I'm still going to follow the trail of your client and her husband.
Well, I can't argue with you, Inspector. Phil talked to Dr. Grant, and Phil knows more about the case than I do. Let's call her apartment and see if she's found anything in those notes, huh?
She may be on her way over here right now.
Hello?
Hello, Angel. Hello? Hello?
Put down that phone, sister. You ain't talking to anybody.
How did you... Who are you?
Hang up that phone.
What does this mean? Don't you dare.
Oh, don't try to bust past me, sister. You ain't going no place.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Mike and Phyllis in their adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to be able to wash your car in 10 minutes without having to change clothes and at a cost of only 10 cents? Well, that's just how easy it is with Union Oil Company's Luster Wash. All you do is empty a package of Luster Wash into a pail of water. Apply the mixture generously over the surface with an ordinary rag and then rinse off with a hose. That's all there is to it. In 10 to 15 minutes, your car is clean from radiator cap to tail light without mess or scrubbing. That's because Luster Wash is not a soap, but a special detergent compound which dissolves grease spots, road film, and dirt on contact. Luster Wash is harmless to your hands, yet eliminates the hard work of old-fashioned methods. It makes glass and chromium sparkle, too, and you don't have to use a chamois afterwards. You can buy a package of Luster Wash for only 10 cents at any Union Oil Minuteman station. One package is enough to wash any average car. Just drive in wherever you see the sign of the big orange and blue 76 and ask for Union Luster Wash, the new, easy way to wash your car. Phyllis is still in her apartment, but very unwillingly. A strange man is pointing a gun at her heart.
You're insane if you think you can get away with this.
I'm doing it, ain't I? Now, for the last time, hand over those notes on Dr. Grant.
Well, you've got them. I just finished typing them.
No, I want the rest of them. This stuff don't mean anything.
Well, that's all there is. What did you think Dr. Grant told me?
Trying to be smart, huh? Sorry, I ain't telling you. Hand over those notes, or do I have to slap you around?
Phil!
Shut up. One sound out of you, and I'll kill you.
You're caught. It's Mike. And the inspector, you can't get away.
Phil, honey, open the door. Answer me.
Tell him to wait a minute.
Just a minute, Mike.
Now, I'm going to stand behind the door. You open it and tell him to come in. If you make one squawk, one little tip, I'll let you have it right in the back. Now, go on.
Why, they're gone. The hall's empty.
Yeah. Maybe it's a trick.
You bet it is. Hands in the air. Hand over your gun.
Mike, he wanted my notes on Dr. Grant. I gave them to him, but he kept saying there were more, and there aren't.
Then Dr. Grant knew something about this guy, and he killed John Hunt.
Know any more gags?
Plenty. All right, Inspector, let's take him back to the house. We're going to find out who he's working for.
Shane, I've never seen this man before in my life.
It's an insult to even think I'd have anything to do with a criminal.
I say the same. This thing has gone far enough.
Then if we're to believe all of you people, nobody here knew this man.
Well, it means just one thing. Somebody is lying.
That man is the murderer, and you've caught him, and yet you accuse us.
No, he's not the murderer, Mr. McGuire. If he had killed Hunt, he wouldn't be afraid to murder Miss Knight. Instead, he argued around with her, and...
You haven't told us why he went to Miss Knight. What was he threatening her about?
I prefer not to explain that, Mr. Grant. But he was working for somebody here who...
Amirot. He killed Hunt. He sneaked up to the window and shot him.
That's impossible. The window is 10 or 12 feet from the ground, and the windows were closed.
Wait a minute, Inspector. Wait a minute. Maybe that's it. Phil, after we heard the shot, how long did it take us to get into the library here?
Oh, I'd say less than 60 seconds.
And did you smell any gun smoke in the room?
No, I didn't smell anything.
You wouldn't. If the windows were open and the shot came from outside...
Well, then somebody must have closed the windows during all the excitement,
But,
Mike.
Mike, we decided the shot came through one of these doors. The body is completely out of range of the window.
Yes, but where was Hunt standing when he was hit? How do we know he wasn't standing right here by this desk in full view of the window? Before he died, he could have staggered clear over to the hall door.
Mike, a man would have to be 12 feet tall to fire through that window.
No, Inspector, no. He wouldn't have to be 12 feet tall, and he did shoot through this window. I understand it now.
All right, show me.
I'll open the window. Now, will all of you people go back to where you were when you heard the shot? We're going to fire a gun again, and you're to tell us if it sounds the same way.
All right.
You too, Collins. You and the cook go into the kitchen.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant, will you please stand in any one of these 4 doorways, it doesn't matter which, and fire a blank cartridge. Now, give Phil and me about 15 seconds to get the outside entrance.
Yes, sir. I'll come along with you, kid.
Hey, I remember Mike was admiring that ship model when we heard the shot.
Yeah, I see it.
There it goes. All right, honey. How did that sound to you?
Oh, no, it wasn't the same shot at all. This one was much louder.
That's right. Because the bullet which killed Hunt was fired from outside the house by somebody inside the house.
Mike, that sounds impossible. How? Who?
Come on, follow me.
Hey, this is the butler's pantry.
Yes.
Well, I'm making a boiler now.
Monsieur Jane, I heard the shot, but I told Monsieur Collins it did not sound right.
Thank you, Ivy, thank you. Now, Inspector, you will notice if you will look out this pantry window here on an angle, you can see the library in the other wing.
Yeah.
I'll raise the window. Now, all I have to do is take my gun, lean out the window.
I see. The shot would sound as if fired outdoors.
Yes. And if I fired now, as I'm aiming my gun, the bullet would go right through that open library window and hit the library desk.
But, Monsieur Jane, there was nobody in here. Monsieur Collins was mixing cocktails right there. I was making sandwiches in the next room.
Of course. I was talking to Ivy all the time. I had the cocktail shaker in my hand.
And a gun in the other hand, Collins. When the cook wasn't looking, you leaned out of the window.
You're crazy.
No, Collins, it has to be you. You see, besides the inspector and myself, you were the one who knew Miss Knight was going to her apartment to get those notes. When you brought her her coat, you overheard us. You were afraid of what was in those notes, so you phoned your pal to get them away from Miss Knight.
This whole thing is cockeyed.
You know, Collins, you sound less and less like a butler and more like an ex-convict.
Why, you...
Grab him, Inspector. Wait a minute. Wait. Uh-oh. He reached for this cupboard. Let's see.
Here's the boiler and the wood next
the
to it.
missing gun.
If you can see that.
And one bullet fired.
That's
Pretty
all,
cool.
Collins. I think you'd better wear these, for safety's sake.
Inspector, would you mind...
Leave it to me, Mike. Murder's solved, and I think the motive is something of interest only to the district attorney.
Come in, Inspector. Mike's been reheating the coffee for you.
I was longer at headquarters than I figured.
Oh, hi, Inspector. Well, did he confess?
Yeah, pretty much as we expected. Collins served time in the penitentiary with the guy who broke into Phil's apartment. Two of them met Hunt in prison and found out Hunt was planning to blackmail his wealthy sister when he got out.
So they decided to cut themselves in, eh?
That was it. Hunt was working with them for a while. He got Collins into Dr. Grant's home as a butler, so Collins could keep an eye on things for him. Then Hunt got bigger and grander ideas of blackmail and started to cheat the other two. That was his fatal mistake.
Oh. And I suppose Collins figured he knew as much of the dope as Hunt, so why split the money 3 ways?
Exactly. And Mr. McGuire and Davis, they were like the others on the wrong end of Hunt's blackmail, the paying end.
Huh?
I wonder who that could be.
Excuse me. Yes? Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, then it's for me. Well, thanks.
A package. Oh, look, a big one. Who's it from, Mike?
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. It's from Irving Grant.
Well, open it, for Pete's sake.
Oh, boy. Phil. Phil, it's Grant's ship model, the Flying Cloud.
Oh, the one you admired in his house.
I wonder, you suppose he did know the truth about Hunt? That this is his way of thanking us?
Could be. Oh, Mike, it's beautiful. I know just where it should go, on the table in the bay window.
No. I want it over the fireplace.
Oh, no, Mike. It'll look perfect in the window with the harbor as a background, huh?
Angel, wait a minute. Whose apartment is this?
Oh. Well, it's yours right now, but I have hopes.
Tune in again next week at 8 o'clock for another adventure with Michael Shane, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis, with Joe Forte as the inspector. Tonight's story was written by Richard DeGraff and based on the character created by Brett Halliday. Music was composed and directed by Charles Dant. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the people who make 76 gasoline and Triton Motor Oil, Union Oil Company.
Okay, another Michael Shane in the book, as I'm getting pretty good progress here, although this porch keeps coming up. The plate keeps raising off of this Lego base. I don't know why it's doing that. Love the brickwork, I love the front porch, love all the details that's going on, even the door and everything, but I really love the boiler they got in there with the wood logs next to it. You kind of got a fire extinguisher, some meat cleaver, a stove, exhaust, sink, lots of really cool stuff. I showed this already with the guitar umbrella stand and the albums and record player. Really cool stuff. I like it. Lots of cool details in this Lego Ideas A-frame cabin. So really cool stuff. Got enough time for one more Michael Shane, and continuing to build this. And then I'll get ready for the overnight. So yeah, thank you, and good to see you, Sweet Indigo. 42 likes. If you haven't hit that thumbs up button yet, please do. With that said, let's do another Michael Shayne. Let's do the red letter. Let's do the Red Lead Mystery. A popular one. Here we go. Red Lead Mystery.
The Adventures of Michael Shayne,
Thanks,
Private
Red.
Detective.
Hey, this is the Red Lead Mystery.
The people who make 76 gasoline and Triton motor oil, Union Oil Company, present The Adventures of Michael Shayne, Private Detective, starring Wally Mayer and Kathy Lewis. It was Gilbert and Sullivan who said, quote, "A policeman's lot is not a happy one," end quote. But tonight, just on the stroke of 8, Mike Shayne, San Francisco's favorite ferreter of felonies, is seated in his apartment. He looks down on the bay at the masthead lights rising and falling with the swell, as Phyllis, his easy-on-the-eyes associate, does things with eggs in the tiny kitchen. A kitchen which hangs like an eyebrow on the forehead of Telegraph Hill.
Yes, Angel?
How's the shoulder?
It's fine. That is... it's pretty good. Why?
Because I think you're using it as an excuse to get me over here every night to fix your dinner.
Well, Angel, some fellows have etchings. I use scrambled eggs.
Uh-huh. Well, from tonight on, if I come over to your apartment, it's to be as a guest. You're going to do cooking.
Oh, Angel.
I mean it. I'm through being a detective by day and a cook at night. All right, come and get it.
Oh, boy. Hello.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, hello, Inspector.
What are you doing?
Well, I was just going to sit down to a plate of scrambled eggs. Why?
I got a body.
You sound like something out of a horror film instead of Inspector of Homicide. What kind of a body?
It's been in the water a week or so. It looks like an accident. Autopsy surgeon seems to think it was an accident. Sergeant here says it was an accident, but...
You think it's murder?
Could be, Mike.
Where are you?
You know where Oleum is? Right on San Pablo Bay?
Yes?
I'll have the police boat pick you up at the jetty.
Oh, swell.
The sergeant will pick you up as fast as he can get there.
Well, give me 2 more seconds.
2 more seconds?
Yes, Inspector. 1 second for each egg.
There she is. Pull alongside.
Are we going aboard that yacht?
Yeah, inspection board.
It's a trim-looking craft.
Yeah, about $200,000 worth.
Hi there. Can you make it up the ladder, or do you want a bosun's chair?
Oh, half an hour aboard ship and he talks like an admiral. We'll use the ladder, Inspector. Oh, what's the matter, Angel?
Can't cook his own dinner because of a bullet wound in the shoulder, but he can climb a ship's ladder.
Well, I...
Okay, you go first, Mike.
Okay.
Well, kid, you made good time.
Mm-hmm. Sergeant brought us up the bay as if he knew every wave.
He does. Born and raised at San Rafael.
Well, where's the body?
On the engine room hatch.
Mm-hmm. Any wounds?
1 blow on the head, which could have been made if he had fallen off the rocks.
Water in the lungs?
Yeah, Phil.
Oh, so he was alive when he hit the water.
Yeah.
Dressed in sailor pants, a reefer jacket, scarf. Shoes don't look like a sailor's. What besides the shoes make you suspect murder, Inspector?
The dead man's hands, Mike. No calluses. And the nails have been manicured. Sailors don't have soft hands and manicured nails.
Well, good work, Inspector, good work. But how come you're aboard this ship? Is the owner aboard?
No, Mike, but we've sent for him. We came aboard because the Bay Patrol found the body near the ship. And because of this. We found this note in the dead man's pocket.
The North Star, owner Nelson Carter.
And this is the North Star?
Yeah, Phil. Autopsy surgeon said the body has been in the water about 10 days.
Oh, it's pretty hard to identify him now. Any missing persons reported?
I don't know. The sergeant checked with the Missing Persons Bureau when he went back to pick you up.
Yes, sir. Nobody reported missing, Inspector.
Say, who's aboard? I noticed the anchor light is trim and clear. No smudge on the glass. Must have been lighted tonight.
That's right, Mike. Captain is aboard, also the quartermaster.
Oh, I don't see any cabin light.
No, Phil, the portholes are covered with heavy green curtains.
Did you question the captain and the quartermaster?
Yeah, Mike. Very non-committal gents. Said they didn't know the dead man. Never seen him before. Didn't know anything about him, and then they both retired to their cabins.
Well, that's a little suspicious, don't you think?
Not particularly.
Well, most people are inquisitive, Inspector, especially about anything that smells of murder.
Inspector, did you search the ship?
Yeah, they're doing quite a bit of repair work.
Huh?
Placing all the paneling in the stateroom and so on.
Oh, Inspector, did you take a look at the ship's log?
No. After all, Mike, we really haven't anything definite to go on, not even a legitimate reason to suspect murder.
I think we have.
Well, so do I. Otherwise, I wouldn't have sent for you. But to try and tie the murder up with the captain or with the ship even.
But I do tie it up with the ship, in a way.
What do you mean, Mike?
Point number 1. We're agreed that this dead man isn't a sailor because of his hands.
Agreed.
Point number 2, we think that these sailors' clothes aren't his clothes, all except the shoes.
Oh, yes, Mike, but I still don't see how
Dead men can change clothes, Angel.
Oh.
So that suggests violence. Now, take a look at the inside of that right trouser leg. You see that smear of orangey red?
Yeah, Mike.
So what?
Well, that was made by red lead. The stuff they use to keep iron and steel from rusting.
Go on, Mike.
Now, take a look at these stanchions on the port side.
Freshly painted with red lead. I didn't notice that before.
Well, neither did I until right now. But you'll notice, Inspector, that there's no trace of red lead on the inside of either of the dead man's shoes.
I see what you mean. To get that smear on the pants legs, whoever was wearing those pants would be sure to get some on their shoes.
Right, Inspector, if he were wearing them voluntarily. Now, that smear suggests that he was carried. So I give you a suggestion. The murdered man was stripped of his own clothes, then these sailors' clothes were slipped on him, and he was dumped into the bay.
And these sailors' clothes came from this ship?
Yes, Inspector, yes, these clothes are from this ship. And for that reason, I think we should question our 4 suspects.
4 suspects? I don't get you, Mike. 4 suspects?
Yes, yes. The captain, the quartermaster, the owner.
Yeah. And the 4th?
The 4th is the ship's carpenter.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Mike and Phyllis in their adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the news you've all been waiting for. Post-war gasoline is here. Right now, as we speak these words, Union Oil Company's huge new 100-octane refineries are shifting to civilian production after long months of exclusive military service. That means that within a very few days, you'll be able to buy a new 76 gasoline that will knock your hat off. As fast as this new super gasoline can be blended, our trucks are hurrying it to your Minuteman stations. Some have it already. If your Union Oil Minuteman hasn't received his first shipment of this powerful new gasoline yet, he will within the next 2 weeks. And just as soon as he does, he'll post signs announcing its arrival in his station. Watch for these signs to go up, and then drive in for a real thrill. Your first tank full of the new 76 gasoline. Soon on sale at all Union Oil Minuteman stations. Mike, Phyllis, and the inspector are still aboard the yacht North Star. The dead man's body still lies on the engine room hatch as Mike knocks on the captain's cabin door.
What do you want? This is the inspector of homicide. I'd like to talk to you again.
Well, I won't say glad to see you because I'm not. I won't say sit down because I'm hoping you won't stay long.
We've sent for the owner, and I thought we could save time by asking you a few questions.
Who are you?
I'm Mike Shane, private detective.
I don't know that I got to answer any of your questions.
Oh, you don't, of course, but I'd like to ask one question anyway.
Well?
Where's your master's certificate?
Why, you wouldn't...
And don't tell us it's in the chart house, because we looked there.
Now, Captain, you may not like to answer Mike's questions, but I think you'd better answer mine. Where is that certificate?
Here in the drawer. I haven't had time to put it up yet. I only took over this ship yesterday.
Oh, only yesterday, huh?
Yes. I answered an ad in the paper. Man wanted a navigator to be captain of his private yacht. I got the job.
What about the crew?
Only need 3. I'll pick them up in San Francisco tomorrow.
What about your quartermaster? Is he a new man, too?
Yes, I hired him yesterday.
Ahoy there, North Star! Throw us a line!
Here you are, Sergeant.
Who have you got there, Sergeant?
Ship's carpenter named Wilkinson.
What about the owner, Carter? Couldn't you find him?
No, he's down in South America. Been there for 3 months.
What's that?
I said the owner of the North Star's been in South America for the past 3 months.
But that's impossible. I spoke to him a couple of days ago when he hired me.
That's what Carter's secretary says, and he ought to know. I brought him along in case you wanted to ask any questions.
Who else is that in the police launch?
Well, the woman is Mrs. Carter.
Oh. Has she heard from her husband lately?
No, not for 3 weeks.
Mike.
Yes, Angel. You and I have the same idea.
I'm beginning to have the same feeling, kids. Well, let's have the secretary up first and have him look at the body. What's his name?
Jackson. Mr. Jackson, will you come up the ladder, please?
I wonder.
Yeah, Mike?
I wonder if the ship's carpenter is one of the old crew or a new man. Did you know him,
Must be
Captain?
one of the old crew. I didn't hire him.
You want me, Sergeant? Yes. This is Inspector of Homicide.
How do you do?
Mike Shane.
Hello.
Miss Knight.
How do you do?
I wonder if you'd come over this way, Mr. Jackson, to the engine room hatch. Okay, Sergeant.
Oh, why, that's...
Mr. Carter?
Yes, that's Mr. Carter.
Inspector.
Yes, Mike.
I'd like to make a suggestion.
Shoot.
I think we should take the body back to San Francisco.
Yes?
Then we should take everybody, and I mean everybody, to police headquarters.
Sit down, Mr. Wright. You're carpenter on the North Star.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, how long since you were aboard?
Well, nigh 3 months, sir.
Not since Mr. Carter left. Is that right?
That's right, miss.
Mm-hmm. Now, take a look at this reefer jacket.
Hey, that's mine, sir. I left it in my bunk.
And these pants?
Mine, too. But there wasn't no red lead on them when I laid them on the bunk.
Did Mr. Carter say anything to you about redecorating or repairing the paneling in the staterooms?
No, miss, not to me, he didn't.
And you think he would have, if that's what he wanted done?
I think so. But Mr. Carter was always one to be full of surprises. He could have done it without saying anything to me.
You don't know of any reason why anyone should want to kill him?
Not me, sir. I didn't know anything about his private life, only as the owner of the North Star.
Did he and his wife use the North Star much?
Oh, yes, quite a bit. Sailed a couple of times to Hawaii with her, lots of trips to Vancouver, B.C. He was in the shipping business, you know.
Yeah. Well, Mike, unless you have any more questions...
Yes, just one. Where was the North Star anchored the last time you were aboard?
She was tied up at her own jetty, 3 miles northeast of Oleum.
So she's been moved in the past 3 months.
Yes, miss, out into the middle of the bay and about 3 miles south.
Uh-huh, I see. Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Wright.
The sergeant will show you out. And bring in Mrs. Carter, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Sit down, Mrs. Carter. I know this has been quite an ordeal. You identified your husband?
Yes.
We suspect murder, Mrs. Carter. Have you any reason to suspect anyone?
No, my husband hadn't an enemy in the world that I know of.
You thought he was still in South America?
Well, yes, although I haven't had a letter for a month. I used to hear from him regularly every week.
I suppose you inherit your husband's property, Mrs. Carter?
I suppose I do. Half of it is mine anyway. I inherited it from my mother.
Did your husband say anything about repairing or redecorating the paneling in the salons?
No. But that reminds me of something.
Yes, Mrs. Carter?
Well, I heard Mr. Jackson talking to someone on the phone the other day about paneling. I didn't know what he was talking about, but then I paid very little attention to my husband's business.
I see. And you can't help us anymore?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid not. If I think of anything, I'll call you, Inspector.
Thank you. The sergeant will show you out. Bring in the captain, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. We may be out to call on you, Mrs. Carter. It might be necessary to search your husband's papers.
Certainly, Mr. Shane.
Sit down, Captain.
Thanks.
I take it that if you only took over command of the ship yesterday, you haven't given any orders?
No, I spent yesterday and today checking supplies, looking over the ship's gear.
You knew nothing about the replacing of the salon paneling?
Oh, yes. The man I thought was the owner told me he was having it replaced, and the workmen already knew what to do.
And this man that you thought was the owner, what did he look like?
I don't know. I never saw him.
But you said you spoke to him when he hired you.
I spoke to him on the phone.
Aha. Now we get somewhere. What was his phone number?
I don't know. He called me. I wrote him an answer to his advertisement and put my phone number in the letter. Called me on the phone and told me to report aboard yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And that's all you know?
That's all I know. I saw the ad, answered it, and he told me the berth was mine. I came aboard, and that's that.
Well, thanks a lot, Captain. I guess you'd better get back aboard ship.
I'll wait for the quartermaster. I'm sure he doesn't know any more than I do.
As you wish, Captain.
You're quite certain that the quartermaster doesn't know anything?
How can he? I picked him up on the waterfront this afternoon. He's only been aboard a few hours.
I see.
All right, Sergeant. We'll see Mr. Jackson next.
Just a second, Inspector.
Yes, Mike.
I think maybe we ought to take a trip out to Mr. Carter's home before we talk to Jackson.
All right, Mike. Keep Jackson and the quartermaster till we get back, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Inspector.
Get out into the corridor and see if the captain and Jackson or the quartermaster get to talking.
Right, Inspector.
Attaboy, Inspector.
Are you serious about going out to Carter's place?
Well, yes, honey. Why?
Well, I've been following your advice, Mike.
Yes, Angel?
I've been listening to the tone of these voices.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
And I think the captain is lying. Or at least not telling the whole truth.
Why, Phil?
Well, he said he hadn't given any orders since he went aboard.
That's right.
Yeah. He said he'd been checking stores and looking over the ship's gear, but...
Well, then
why
who painted the stanchions with red lead? The captain? Those stanchions were still damp.
Well, it takes red lead quite a time to dry, but Angel, I think you have something there. I don't know quite what it is, but you have something.
Thanks, Mrs. Carter, for waiting up for us.
Oh, not at all. Naturally, I'm anxious to do anything I can to help find my husband's murderer. I'm afraid I hardly realize he's dead.
Yes, there isn't much we can say, Mrs. Carter, except that we'll get his murderer if anybody can.
This was my husband's office, his home office. Mr. Jackson always worked here when my husband was out of town.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'd better check the desk first. Bill, you take the straw, Inspector.
I don't know anything about shipping schedules.
Say, Mike. Phil.
Yeah?
What is it? Here's the North Star's clearance to leave her jetty on an anchor in the bay. Dated the 26th of last month.
Well, it might mean something. We'll remember that.
Hey, what have you got there, Mike?
Well, something not quite on the up and up, I think.
In the fireplace there?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Burned envelopes and letters. Here, Inspector.
Yeah.
Here, if that isn't part of a Panama stamp,
Panama?
then I don't...
That's where my husband was when I last heard from him.
Well, this was mailed the 21st. Airmail.
The last I received was the 18th.
Mailed the 21st, and the North Star changed her moorings on the 26th.
Yes, Angel, yes. Just time to receive this letter and change the ship's moorings.
Does that mean something?
It depends, Mrs. Carter. It depends. Inspector.
Yeah, Mike?
I think we should pay a visit to the North Star's jetty, 3 miles northeast of Oleum, as I remember it.
We'll rejoin Mike and Phyllis in their adventures in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, for the benefit of those who may have tuned in late, we are repeating the announcement made earlier in the program. Post-war gasoline is here. Union Oil Company's huge new 100-octane refineries have been shifted to civilian production after long months of exclusive military service. That means that within a very few days, depending on your locality, you'll be able to buy a powerful new 76 gasoline that beats all pre-war performance. As fast as this new super gasoline can be blended, our trucks are delivering it to your Minuteman stations. Some have it already. If your Union Oil man hasn't received his first shipment of this sensational new 76 gasoline, he will within the next 2 weeks. Just as soon as he does, he'll post signs announcing its arrival in his station. Watch for these signs to go up, and then drive in for a real thrill. Your first tankful of the new post-war 76 gasoline. Soon on sale at all Union Oil Minuteman stations. Watch for it. Mike, Phyllis, and the inspector are facing one of their most baffling mysteries. A murder with apparently no motive and no clues. We picked them up at the jetty where the North Star is usually tied up.
Well, there's not a thing that I can see. Bare jetty.
Odds and ends of rope, freshly painted stanchion.
Yes. Everything connected with the North Star seems to lead to stanchion.
What is it, Mike?
Look.
A piece of red glass. Looks like part of a ship's lantern. Port lantern.
A natural deduction, Inspector, since we're on a jetty, but look again. Then look at the railing here.
A long scratch with paint rubbed into it.
Yeah. A scratch made by an automobile bumper and rear fender.
Yes. When the car was backed up to turn around, whoever was driving scuffed along the rail and broke this tail lamp glass. Sergeant.
Yeah, Mike.
Check with Mrs. Carter's car, Jackson's car, and the captain's if he has one.
Yes, sir. Mike.
But first get hold of Chips.
Chips?
The ship's carpenter, Mr. Wright.
Oh.
Get hold of him and tell him to meet us aboard the North Star as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And then?
And then bring everybody back out to the ship, but not before you've checked all the automobiles.
Yeah, Mike.
And what's our move, Mike?
Back aboard the North Star and lay a trap for a murderer.
Constant creaking of the ship gets me.
I think we're in luck. I don't believe the captain or the quartermaster are back on the boat.
No, Mike. Captain said he was going to wait for the quartermaster, so they're both back at headquarters.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot.
What are you looking for, Mike?
I don't know, but I'm giving these port stanchions the once over. Say.
What?
You see that dark stain on the deck?
Yeah.
Sure. What about it?
You know what made that?
No. Do you?
No, but I'll make a good guess. Fresh water.
Fresh water?
Yes. Decks should always be washed down with salt water. It leaves them white and sparkling. Fresh water makes them dark.
Yeah, but even so much.
Shh. I hope this is Chips, our ship's carpenter.
Ahoy there! North Star!
Yeah. Here's the line. Tie up and come aboard.
All right. All right, mate.
Well, what can I do for you?
Tell me, what will dissolve red lead?
Red lead? Why, oil will if it ain't too old. And you've got to scrape it.
Take a look at the stanchion.
I'll wipe that off in no time.
You've got oil aboard?
Sure thing.
Okay, let's get going.
All right, sir.
Now for a quick look at the salon. You know, this was a pretty cleverly conceived murder. If that body hadn't been found for a week or two, there would have been no trace of this murder at all.
There isn't much trace even now, Mike.
Not enough for your district attorney or grand jury, but enough for me. And I think we can trap the murderer without too much difficulty.
Well, this is the salon in here.
Oh, what a beautiful place.
Yes. Doesn't seem to me that the paneling needs redecorating.
But I tell you what it does look like, Mike.
Yeah?
Looks as if the paneling had been torn out in the search for something.
The ship's safe, perhaps?
Could be, or something hidden behind the paneling.
There goes Chips.
Why do you call him Chips? His name is Wright.
All ship's carpenters are called Chips. At least in the books I read.
Well, here we are. I found these rags in the captain's cabin.
Good.
Look like they've been used for the same job before.
Let me see those.
Blood?
I think so. Here, use this one.
All right, sir. This is going to make a mess of the deck, though.
That's all right.
Do I hear a boat coming?
Yeah, I hear it too, Phil.
Hurry, Chips, hurry. Get some more of that red lead off.
All right, sir. I'm going like the roaring 40s, I am.
That's the stuff.
You got it down to the old paint there in spots.
It peels right off when it's still soft this way.
Ahoy, North Star!
Tie up and come aboard, Sergeant. Bring everybody aboard with you.
I think this ought to do it.
Hey, what's going on there? You'll ruin that deck.
I think this deck's already been ruined, Captain. But let that go for a moment. The inspector had you all brought out here to see what we were doing.
Yeah, what are you doing?
We're taking off the last few layers of red lead that somebody put on this stanchion. Now, would you know who did it? You did it, Captain? You've been aboard 2 days, and this red lead was still soft and wet. Could it have been put on without your knowing about it?
Red lead often takes a week to dry. That stanchion hasn't been painted since I came aboard.
That stanchion is the clue to this killing.
What do you mean?
Mr. Carter was killed aboard his own ship.
On the ship?
He was probably hit on the head with a marlinspike, but that's beside the point. The main point is that while his killers were changing his clothes, putting the ship's carpenter's clothes on him, he bled quite a bit. Some blood was spattered on the deck. The killers tried to clean that with fresh water.
Yeah?
Then they were afraid that some of his blood was on the freshly painted stanchion.
So after they'd thrown his body overboard, they repainted the stanchion.
But not before they got a smear of red lead on the pants leg as they heaved him overboard.
Oh, but who would do such a thing? My husband...
The captain, for one, Mrs. Carter, and I think the sergeant has the answer to the other. Right, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Mike, we found the car.
The car? What car?
Yes, Captain, the car which was used to take Mr. Carter out to the jetty while the North Star was still tied up there. That car has a broken taillight and a badly scraped fender.
And it is where, Sergeant?
In Mr. Jackson's garage.
Jackson, you fool, I told you.
Shut up, you idiot.
Cut out the arguing. You'll need all the arguments you can scrape together when you face the jury.
Okay, Sergeant. You can handle them.
This is going to taste good. Nearly 6 in the morning, and I'm hungry.
You know, I was afraid that the inspector wasn't going to get a confession from those two, the captain and Jackson. They were tough monkeys.
Oh, not so tough, really. They had just spent so much time plotting and carrying out this murder that they couldn't realize they were trapped.
Oh, such a senseless murder, too, Mike.
All murders are senseless, honey. But I don't think they started out with the idea of murder in mind. As I see it, the Secretary Jackson had made several trips on the North Star. He knew that wherever they went, Mr. Carter always had plenty of ready cash. He just got the idea in the back of his head that the money was hidden somewhere on board. He didn't know where, but when Carter went to Central and South America, he determined to make a haul.
So when the crew was on vacation, he got together with this man who called himself the captain. They started taking the salon apart, huh?
Right, Angel, right. Jackson needed someone who knew something about ships.
And then when he saw from the mail that Carter was coming home, he got panicky and destroyed the letters to Mrs. Carter?
He met the unsuspecting Carter when he arrived, took him out to the jetty where the North Star was berthed, set out into the middle of the bay and killed him.
Dressing him in the carpenter's clothes so if he were found, nobody could identify him. I see. Have some more coffee, Mike?
Sure thing, Angel.
How's the shoulder after the night's excitement?
Oh, pretty good, but I still think you'll have to come over for a few nights and fix dinner for me.
I will not. You can eat out if you're too lazy to fix your own dinner. You know, I've been thinking, Mike.
Yes, Angel?
Wouldn't it be nice to have a yacht like the North Star and go any place, anytime you wanted to?
Oh, I don't know. Look what happened to Mrs. Carter. She lost her husband on account of the North Star.
Of course, darling. I don't have a husband.
Well, don't give up hope, Angel. Now, if you were to fix my dinners for the next few weeks...
Mike Shane, I believe that's all you think about in a wife, a good cook.
Oh, no, Angel, not quite. But being a good cook is a good recommendation.
Before we sign off, I'd like to repeat the special announcement made earlier in the program. Post-war gasoline is here. As fast as Union Oil Company's trucks can haul it, a powerful new...
Okay, there we go. Ending that. Michael Sheen. Bag 5 is almost done. I got 6, 7 on the table, and then there's 15 bags. So I've done 5 so far. So yeah, I should be able to finish up 3 nights. Be done. And yeah, that should be about 10 hours of putting this together, so pretty good. I do like how it's turning out. Lots of details on the inside, which it's hard to see now, which I will do with my other camera to get the details on the inside. But outside's starting to come together, brick wall, that good stuff. We got to make the top. Then we got the side island to make with the trees. So there's still quite a bit to go, and there's another level here too. So yeah, so it's looking good. Only thing I would say is like an old wooden cabin, I guess the water's warping this and it keeps coming up. It's just, I guess, it's never going to be perfect, even with Lego, because it's not fitting. It keeps buckling, buckling up, which I haven't come across that with the Lego stuff yet. This was the first time. So anyways, thank you guys for all hanging in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and continue to watch the Lego streams where I play some old time radio shows as I'm building these. And yeah, we're doing the A-frame cabin, and 2 more streams, we should be done. So I will see you tomorrow night for the more build around the same time. And yeah, catch you on the overnight stream. Thank you, Harry, AJ, Night Fright, Connie, Sweet Indigo, Horror Junkie, everybody that was here, Red, BC, Black Roses, Jody, what's going on, Andrea, all you guys, people, yeah. So there you go. I'm on the right page. Okay, until next time, peace, much love, stay hydrated, stay cool.